Part 205. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2045. It was very difficult for Biha to say it. On the one hand, it was Jia Yan's strength that suppressed him, and on the other hand, he knew that after saying this, he would probably lose the opportunity to become a disciple of Yin Yang Dao. If he was still imagining before, he thought that his strength was enough, and the teacher had to keep him. But looking at it now, teacher Yin Yang's strength is completely beyond his expectation. If such a person wants to accept a disciple, it is estimated that half-star level beings will compete for him. He is a being who has just been promoted to the venerable level. It really doesn't matter. But he still had to say it, even if he would lose his identity as a disciple. The farmer brothers have been his playmates for many years, and their friendship is not an exaggeration. Not only these farmers, but also the former enemies whose friends and partners were killed by the farmers also had eyes full of unwillingness and hatred. Oh! Do you think that if you cannot kill in front of me, you can really kill people? Look, who are these? Jia Yan smiled, then Yun Danfenking turned his palm again. Then, under the astonished gaze of all the living people, a dead farmer or enemy climbed up from the ground. Everyone, listen, none of us are dead. Teacher Yin Yang protected us. Don't worry, the injuries aren't too serious. At least there are no broken arms or legs. This master protected me just now when I was about to die. It turns out that he is Master Yin Yang. We were wrong, Master Ryan. We should not have come to attack Master Yin Yang's planet. Huh? I just heard Master Ryan say that he joined the Yin Yang sect. It would be a blessing in disguise if I joined. The crowd stood up one by one, which shocked all the living creatures who were still alive. They had never thought that none of the people who died just now were dead. Especially the Starry Sky beginner who was killed before, he actually didn't die. I am still alive, all thanks to this Master Yin Yang, Master Ryan. We really did something wrong. In fact, I wanted to say it before. If we do our maintenance work well, even if we don't get rich in the future, but you can always live a good life, you see, the first illegal transaction ended up like this, alas. That Starry Sky level being is actually a person with upright views. Okay, everyone knows, no matter which side of you, no one died, and now this Ryan has joined our Yin Yang section. As for the other intruders, you can also decide whether to stay or not. If you want to leave, I won't stop you. Jia Yan spoke calmly again, interrupting everyone's surprise. And he didn't care about so many complicated things. He called Ryan and Habi and asked them to take charge of both parties' matters, and then flew back to the mountain hut. Looking at the mountain peaks once again filled with mist, teacher Yin Yang showed no signs of wanting to appear again. Biha and Ryan, the two people who had fought to the death just now, looked at each other, not knowing how to make contact. Ahem, this, senior brother Biha, let's arrange our respective people, don't let them fight. That's right, junior brother Ryan, since you have joined our Yin Yang sect, we will be the same sect in the future. As long as you don't betray the sect, we will be good brothers. If we don't fight today, we won't know each other. Both of them nodded, and then flew downwards. Listen, both of us have joined the Yin Yang sect, so we must abide by the rules of the Yin Yang section. Those who don't want to stay should get on the battleship. But I, Ryan, have said that the Yin Yang sect may really be the biggest opportunity in our lives. Teacher Yin Yang's strength is unfathomable. You must think carefully. Jia Yan used his brainwave power to look at the noise outside and smiled slightly. This is the feeling of having subordinates again. Let them do the chores. Although they are not strong enough, in general, it still relieves my pressure a little. After Jia Yan laughed, he no longer inquired about the trivial matters of the outside world, but continued to meditate. Because he was thinking about what to do next. Everything at the moment is still a small matter for him, but this situation is absolutely necessary from the beginning. Now that it has reached a relatively starting stage, it is necessary to consider how to develop this power next, and how to obtain a plan to repair one's physical strength, or even enhance one's own strength. He has not forgotten the idea of going to the Zerg Queen's forces to fight the Black Sheep in a few years. There is also the Territory Lord who asked him to escape to the star field. Jia Yan has some ideas, but the Territory Lord is still too strong. This idea that is ready to be thought of will probably take a long time to be put into practice. Possibility. So if you don't speed up your repair speed, let alone fighting the opponent when the time comes, even repairing an injury will take several years, which will slow you down a bit. To put it this way, my first move is to expand in a valuable direction, and this must be done without arousing the vigilance of the surrounding major forces. Jia Yan has a headache. If he is just looking for valuable places, there are as many as he wants. This star field is very rich, and he can naturally find many aspects. But it would be too difficult to obtain a valuable place where you have the possibility of improvement without attracting the attention of big forces. But after thinking about it for a while, he suddenly felt enlightened. No, I just said that I will not attract the attention and hostility of super powerful forces. This super powerful force is just a high-level existence in the galaxy in this starry sky. If it is only an intermediate level existence, even if I am injured now, I will probably fight. They are still enough. The local galaxy level in this starry sky is very weak. As I have learned before, although they also have certain combat experience, even the intermediate galaxy level from the outside world, their combat ability has deteriorated because they have not fought for a long time. It degrades very quickly, and at least there is still a certain gap compared to a mid-level galaxy like me. Jia Yan suddenly felt confident because of his strength. This can change the progress a little bit. As long as it doesn't attract the attention and hostility of supermasters, there are any number of ways to do it. The first step is to start with weak forces. In other words, I try to find some valuable forces, but the enemies I want to fight against are not strong enough. Jia Yan figured out the joints and started selecting. Then, he picked a slightly larger asteroid near this one. This asteroid is about 1,000 kilometers in diameter and about the size of half the moon. It is a bit reluctant to call it an asteroid. Of course, compared with a real planet, it is still small, so it is called an asteroid. This asteroid belongs to a star-level force with the strongest force behind it, and the other party has about 3 such asteroids. It is very likely that there are some galaxy-level forces behind it, but that star must be level. I wouldn't do it myself because of such an asteroid. And on this asteroid, there is a huge amount of energy that I need to repair it. Jia Yan saw clearly the resources on this asteroid and squinted his eyes slightly. A trace of ruthlessness appeared on the old face of the turtle. But soon he returned to his old and amiable demeanor. After being in this avatar for a long time, he felt that his mentality was affected. A strong man should have lived in the state of being unfazed by honor and disgrace. This is also a kind of growth. Yes, sometimes, you can't just think about your own interests. I want to take another look. Jia Yan finally stopped thinking only about himself and clicked on more information about the asteroid to take a look. For a galaxy-level being, such an asteroid is really easy to get. It takes so long for the Zerg Queen to build a commercial star because the status of commercial stars is naturally different. Such an asteroid is different. It has no commercial value, and at most it has the value of mineral resources. But in fact, in the universe, there are so many materials that are truly worth mining that we can't even count them. It's just that this asteroid is close to a prosperous place, otherwise it wouldn't be there. Will attract the attention of that stellar power. Therefore, the other party probably never thought that a galaxy class would be interested in this asteroid, let alone that this galaxy class would do it right away, and even carefully read the information about this asteroid. Huh. After just watching for a long time, Jia Yan suddenly paused. Then, he smiled slightly. Juniors and sisters of the Yin-Yang sect, you have already practiced the introductory techniques of the Yin-Yang section. Is there anyone who has not yet started? There is none left. This Yin-Yang Dao can be said to be a genius. I heard that it was created by teacher Yin-Yang. He is really a strange person who can create such a technique by himself. It has simply subverted the practice of cultivation. I dare say that as long as the Yin-Yang sect continues to flourish, even the cultivation system of the strong men in the universe will cause big waves because of the emergence of the Yin-Yang section. Not bad, and the strikers who caused this big disturbance are our group, ha ha ha. Nonsense, you dare to join. I don't know what Mr. Yin-Yang said before. He accepted some disciples a long time ago. It is possible that some of his disciples have become famous now, but we don't know it. Ah. But teacher, didn't we just decide on the name of Yin-Yang sect now? We, senior sister, second senior brother and third senior brother of Yin-Yang sect, are still Billy, Biha and Ryan. Yes, the Yin-Yang sect may join other disciples of the teacher in the future. Don't let the name of the Yin-Yang sect be looked down upon by other senior brothers and sisters. No, I think that with the fighting skills of the Yin-Yang sect, I can achieve genius-level combat effectiveness. It is estimated that the combat effectiveness of the Yin-Yang sect disciples in the future will definitely make us famous. Those senior brothers and sisters may still learn it. If it's not the teacher's recently developed technique, it might not be as good as ours in training and fighting, and it will definitely scare them to death. On the asteroid, a large group of cultivators is no longer the busy farming scene before. They are practicing one by one. Although they can still manage the fields, no one has too much thought. Because their strength has been greatly improved, these people who would have been tired doing farm work have become not tired at all. Moreover, the Yin-Yang sect has begun to gradually regain the land in everyone's hands. Of course, it is a very fair purchase method, rather than a very overbearing extortion. After Jia Yan experienced a lot of establishment and departure of power, coupled with his current change of mentality, he began to change his very domineering approach, and he also gained a lot of care. Compared with the roughness before, I don't know how much better it is. Although this kind of subtle treatment wasted a lot of his time, he was injured anyway, and besides repairing the injury, he didn't have much to do, so it was considered as giving himself something to do. Every disciple felt the teacher's attentiveness, and even sighed that he had really been around for a long time. He could think of everything, and he did everything by himself, down to the smallest detail. Even some prefectural level disciples would occasionally be spotted by Jia Yan, who would give some personal guidance, causing them to become enlightened and their cultivation speed to skyrocket. Another half-month has passed since the days of great cultivation between the two parties, and today, these disciples were gathered together. The previous farmers and the invading enemies, that is, the group of beings who maintain the solar power, are all missing. That day, Jia Yan said he would let the offenders leave at will end. But after they figured it out, who was really willing to leave? Even though most people are raising their families, the Yin-Yang sect has said that in the future, their families can live on another planet. That planet is specially designed for family members of disciples like them to live in. Those who want to join the Yin-Yang sect will be given priority. This is welfare, and your family will ascend to heaven. Anyone who leaves at this critical moment is a fool. Everyone in the Yin-Yang sect is now full of confidence. It is not simply that this force is a newly established force, or even the extremely magical Yin-Yang Dao. Everyone's greatest confidence comes from Yin-Yang himself. Teacher Yin-Yang's strength was secretly remembered by everyone after it was revealed in the last battle. Behind my back, people have always been speculating about the strength of teacher Yin-Yang. But the more you guess, the more exaggerated it becomes. Some people even went so far as to say that teacher Yin Yang was probably a galaxy-level teacher, although he was definitely a galaxy-level junior. But this speculation was refuted by most people as soon as it appeared. A galaxy-level came to build a force? What do you think? A galaxy-level existence should not arrive at a place, then raise its arms and shout, say hello to the small forces around it, and then force them to join their name or attach themselves to themselves, and then pull out a group of people in one breath. A team. Do you want to take your time like Yin Yang teacher? They don't believe that a galaxy-level person will come to their side to recruit people because of the talent of this asteroid. The farmers all know what their family's background is. To say that they have extraordinary talent is really a lie. More like a fool. Therefore, Jia Yan's strength, which everyone finally agreed upon, was that of a star, but he might be an intermediate star. Today, the teacher is gathering. What are we doing here? Please remember the first domain name of this book. 4novel.com. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2046. All the disciples of the Yin-Yang sect were gathered under the tall mountain peaks. For many planets, a 1-kilometer high mountain peak is only 1,000 meters high, which is nothing at all. But on such an asteroid with a diameter of several hundred kilometers, it is the highest mountain, and it is flat and flat. The kind of mountain that rises is like a symbol of life to the people who live here. Sometimes when you look at it often, you will obviously imagine the yin and yang living on this high mountain, but you don't know what he is doing on it. Something. Today, this peak, which is similar to a holy mountain, is occupied by a large group of disciples. Everyone stands still. In front of all the creatures, Biha shouted and took charge of the order of the team. And beside him, there was a small shadow. This is the bunny girl Billy. As Jia Yan's first disciple, this rabbit-like girl has attracted attention for a while, but in fact, everyone quickly looked away from her because she was too weak. Who has just reached the primary level of heaven, compared with Biha, whose strength has reached the level of venerable, but can fight with Ryan, who is at the intermediate level of venerable, he feels like a complete waste. No one knows why this girl became Jia Yan's disciple. Of course, Jia Yan would not tell them that after he came here, he just randomly accepted a talented disciple in order to open up the situation. Besides, it is true that Billy is at the beginning of the heaven level, but in the past 10 days, she has practiced quickly, and with Jia Yan's private opening a small stove several times, she has reached the beginning of the level again. The peak exists, and he is almost on the verge of breaking through to the intermediate level of heaven. Of course, the reason why she was able to break through so quickly was partly due to Jia Yan secretly using energy to help her. Jia Yan is a galaxy level. He recently discovered that as long as people practice the same skills as him, Jia Yan only needs to use a certain amount of strength to nourish them, and they will quickly improve their strength. This kind of reaction very young, especially those who have learned the more authentic yin and yang Tao, the less reactionary force they have. Coincidentally, Billy is the kind of child who listens to every word that Jia Yan says and teaches, and then does it meticulously, so she can accept Jia Yan's most help and the most. There are no side effects. Of course, even if there are no sequelae, you need to pay attention. After Jia Yan helped her once, he did not continue. Therefore, it is estimated that it will take 10 days and a half to break through to the peak of Billy's primary level. Bar. But no matter how you put it, this speed is amazingly fast, much faster than Jia Yan's own cultivation speed. Senior sister Billy, congratulations on your breakthrough. Biha did not neglect the senior sister too much. Seeing that the little bunny-eared girl who could only be regarded as a little girl in front of him was unhappy, he quickly said the above words to her. Uncle Biha, junior brother, you are also very powerful. Have you stabilized the strength of the venerable primary level? Billy laughed. She is still a child, and sometimes, what she needs is encouragement and praise from adults. My speed is nothing. It's just stabilized a little. If I want to improve my strength, I don't know how long it will take. Biha laughed to himself. These days, Ryan, who was evenly matched with him before, also accepted Jia Yan's teachings and was quickly refining his energy. He suspected that as long as the other party refining his energy, he would be able to. They can't beat each other. After all, there is still a certain gap in strength between the two sides. So Biha has been a little anxious recently. This kind of mentality appears not only in these serious disciples, but also in other temporary disciples. These disciples, even if they have not become Jia Yan's disciples, can only be regarded as temporary disciples, but they are indeed a group of yin-yang sect members. Jia Yan was actually thinking about whether in the future he would create a hierarchical system similar to the one on the internet on Earth, that is, a large number of ordinary disciples, called outer disciples, and then be accepted as serious disciples like Habilai. People are said to be inner disciples. It would be interesting if you gradually get the feeling of a practicing sect. Jia Yan flew out of the mountain. This was what he was thinking about in his heart. Yes, after a few disciples have completed their studies, let them also accept disciples. Their disciples are also inner disciples. They should treat the inner disciples like their own children. The outer disciples will have the opportunity to become inner disciple, but it requires talent and hard work. Jia Yan was thinking about this while flying. Many forces within the central star field of the Milky Way actually have part of such a system, but they just don't have as much of a sense of the immortal cultivating sects in Earth's legends. Jia Yan wants to create a mountain gate similar to the Earth's cultivation sect. Hello teacher. Hello teacher. At this time, Billy and Biha came forward to greet them. Ryan is one step behind them because he and Jia Yan are not too close yet, and they were enemies before, so he feels a little incomparable with the two. Hello, teacher Yin Yang. Later, when the sound of the ground rang out in large areas, the turtle creature transformed by Jia Yan seemed to frown. His body is that of an extremely old tortoise animal. He usually has a relatively amiable feeling, but once he frowns, everyone knows that he is not very satisfied. Ever since, his small action was noticed by everyone, and no one dared to make a sound, and looked at each other, not knowing what was wrong. Billy, Biha, and Ryan, you three are my official disciples. In the future, you will call me Master, do you understand? Yes. Master. The three of them nodded ecstatically. As for these people below, you are only temporary disciples of my yin-yang section. From now on, I will classify you as outer disciples. Outer disciples are also disciples of my yin-yang sect, but they are not anyone's disciples. You have the right to practicing yin and yang Tao, but if you want to become a formal disciple, you must work hard, contribute to the sect, or be extremely talented. Only then will I or several of my disciples be accepted as formal disciples. This kind of the sect members are called inner sect disciples. In the future, you will all be called outer sect disciples, do you understand? It's, teacher. Yes, teacher. Okay, teacher Yin Yang. When Jia Yan settled the issue of status, there was a sparse response from below. It's not that they don't want to call, it's that they don't know how to call. You can just call me the sect leader in the future. As for Billy, Biha, and Ryan, you can call them senior sister, second senior brother, third senior brother, and so on for the disciples I accept in the future. Yes, sect master. Now that the question of address was settled, Jia Yan nodded slightly. This is how you feel. Otherwise, if you create a chaotic force casually, it will definitely be irregular in the future. Of course, this is just the beginning. Slowly let them get used to the feeling of cultivating immortals. Then that unique artistic conception will also appear in the yin-yang section. Think about it, Every person in the yin-yang sect in the future will be like a cultivator of immortals. The immortal energy is fluttering in the air, and once it takes action, it is a positive and negative force with extremely destructive power. Haha, it's interesting to think about it. Jia Yan is said to be a strong man, but he still has the feeling of a child, like a big boy on earth. It's just that he has experienced too many hardships in the past, and this kind of nature only appears once in a while. At this time, there was a serious sect asking him to run it, and he really had nothing to refer to. From so many experiences in the past, there was almost no good summary, so it was better to use the routines in cultivating immortals. The purpose of calling everyone here today is to inform everyone that our yin-yang sect has been established for a month. In this month, everyone's progress has been seen by me, but this agricultural star has no influence on a force. In terms of size, it is a bit too small. The structure and future development potential are not good. Originally, I did not want to argue too much. However, I recently learned that another asteroid not far from me is also the most powerful one recently. On an asteroid, there were actually a lot of tragedies, and the rulers and the people were in dire straits. I felt deeply that the people there were too miserable, so after thinking for a long time, I decided to let my sex forces fight for the planet, not for the resources there, but want the people there to live a better life. Jia Yan gave a rough explanation of his purpose and reasons, and saw everyone in the yin-yang sect below showing different expressions. Most of them are based on the remarks made by Jia Yan and above, and I feel that I am not surprised at all. After all, a newly established force with the support of a star-level powerhouse would be in trouble if it did not expand its strength and influence. Moreover, even if Jia Yan is not willing to expand his power and influence, his disciples will let Jia Yan expand it, otherwise the development of such a small planet will be impossible. But for a small number of disciples, they are not so willing. Because many of the disciples in the yin-yang sect were formed by farmers. Although they had the courage to deal with invading enemies before, they only wanted to protect their own homes. They could compete with others for the territory they wanted, and that was another one more thing. Alas, there is nothing we can do about this. Our Lord, the sect master, is just taking care of the people of that planet. He will definitely not be the tyrant that other forces were when they expanded in the future. Yes, you see, the yin-yang sect master is so kind, how can he harm others? I think even if he rules other places, he will give us a lot of benefits just like he did to us. Listen, the sect master didn't want to develop in the first place. It was only because he recently read external information and knew that there were bad things on that planet that he asked us to fight for it. He was only doing it for the good of the people on that planet. It feels like these disciples are looking for excuses to defend Jia Yan. Biha, Billy, Ryan, you come in with me, I will give you some information documents, as well as the prepared plans, etc. You just follow them. Yes, Master. Jia Yan did not show his face in front of others and flew directly back to the mountain peak, followed by 3 disciples. They got several pieces of information that Jia Yan took out. These materials are all various things that Jia Yan summarized his recent experience and then listed. Some of them are for enforcing the internal laws of the sect, some are rules for dealing with external forces, some are for the so-called outer sect disciples to study, and some are preparations for the future. All in all, there were so many things that made the 3 disciples feel frightened for a while. They felt that this seemingly loose yin-yang sect would begin to undergo huge changes in the future because of these information. Biha, you will be responsible for the internal disciples in the future. Billy, your main focus is on cultivation. Try to improve your strength in the future. Now the ordinary earth level and heaven level teachings are also under your control. Ryan, your work will be heavier. You will be responsible for external affairs and law enforcement. However, you must strictly discipline yourself. If my teacher finds out that you have enriched your own pockets or overcorrected, I will cause trouble for you. Do you understand? Yes. The three disciples all took over their tasks. The three of them actually have insufficient manpower, but Jia Yan doesn't care that much. The task is given to them. Jia Yan doesn't care how they recruit people. If he has to do everything by himself, then he might as well do it himself. Recruiting these apprentices to was in many ways just to make himself relaxed. He didn't really look forward to how quickly the three apprentices could help him in battle. After all, he is already at the galaxy level, waiting for a group of apprentices who have just reached the venerable level to increase their strength to help him. What a joke. Jia Yan is actually already making plans. In the future, he will no longer accept such low-level apprentices. He will at least accept half-star or star-level apprentices. Galaxy level is impossible, but mid-level star level he had to find a few to accompany him. After transforming into Yin-Yang Dao's strength, he was confident that he could raise a disciple who was at the peak of a star. If the other party had the chance, he might even reach the galaxy level, and that would be Jia Yan's right-hand man. Of course, it is still too early for Jia Yan to think about these things. Besides, the situation has changed, and he himself is making rapid progress. If he is promoted to the Realm Master before finding a good disciple, he really dares to do so. Find a galaxy-level disciple. After all, the Territory Lord is strong enough. A large area of Territory Lord creatures have galaxy-level subordinates. He should find him as a disciple. It is estimated that there will be a large number of galaxy-level people who will overwhelm him. You all go out and follow my plan. In half a month, I will see the brand new Yin-Yang sect, and then my master will take you to conquer the planet in the data. Yes. The three disciples all took the information and flew out of the mountain. They murmured as they flew. I don't know which planet the teacher is talking about this time. When he said it before, he didn't specify which planet it was. Maybe it's the nearest agricultural star. There are quite a few agricultural stars like us nearby, and there's also no shortage of agricultural stars that are not even as powerful as the starry sky level. I guess Master wants to attack those asteroids. Well, let me look at the information. Poof. Please remember the first domain name of this book. 4novel.com. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2047. Well, let me look at the information. Poof. When Biha was discussing with the two of them, he opened the battle plan, and then almost couldn't stop spitting himself to death. Actually, you actually went to attack the most powerful asteroid? Oh my god, Master, do you want to make a big news as soon as you come here? No, the strongest person on that planet is also an eternal. Stars, and several venerables, do we have any chance of winning? When Biha heard Jia Yan speak before, he always thought that Jia Yan wanted to attack a not-so-powerful asteroid, which could be regarded as training for his farmers-turned-disciples. But I never expected that this old man was so tough that he picked the strongest asteroid nearby to fight from the beginning. This is no longer a question of steel or not, but a matter of gambling on life. Second senior brother, what's wrong with you? Ryan looked at his strange expression and couldn't help but ask. See for yourself, our master is really brave. Biha smiled bitterly and handed the combat information in his hand to Ryan's hand. Let's see, It's actually hitting there. Oh my god, this is an asteroid with a name. As a small boss who travels around the world, Ryan naturally knows where the asteroid is better than Biha. He even has some friends on it. An asteroid with a diameter of 1,000 kilometers is not too small, and there are even several good cities. Where to hit, let me see. As a senior sister, Billy felt that she was not loved by her two junior brothers and was very unhappy. I didn't even show the information to my senior sister. It's so bad. Ryan had no choice but to show the information to Billy. Yeah, is that where we are going? My parents took me there to play. It was very fun. In big cities, there are some sects that don't want me. Billy was also stunned. The child has never been further out. She just went to play on that asteroid. This was a place she thought was a big city. Of course, it's really nice there, but it's still a lot worse than a real prosperous place. Billy's surprise did not bring any joy to the two junior brothers, and they both looked solemn. Because they all know that this war is a bit difficult to handle. Junior brother, you have traveled all over the country, so you must be very aware of the strength of that planet. What do you think? To be honest, I never thought that Master would dare to fight there. After all, the master of the power behind that place is a star-level existence. Although he controls several asteroids, that one the asteroid is the most prosperous and largest among the asteroids under his control. If the other party knows that this cash cow of his is being attacked, he will definitely come to rescue him. When the time comes, we have no way to do it anyway. We can only look at Master. He's an old man. Ryan smiled bitterly. He is a person who travels all over the world, but in such a big scene and a strong person, he has no confidence at all, let alone talk much. Star level. When he saw a half-star level before, he wanted to kneel down. Now he actually had to face a star level. Moreover, among his subordinates, there might be half-star level, and even the venerable level. There were countless of them, and he felt that his master was old and confused. Biha was also helpless, but compared to Ryan, he was still a little calmer because he didn't have much experience in battles and no sense of reality. That's right, when facing powerful masters, we can only look at the master. But the master is old after all. He is a star level, or the peak of the primary star level. Can he be able to fight against him? Also, even if this one can fight, but it will definitely take time. When he is entangled and fighting with the opponent, what will the other strong men do? Not to mention anything else, there seems to be 1.5 stars among the subordinates of that star-level existence. A super existence, if he takes action, there is really nothing we can do. Yes, if we are given half a year and a year, I feel that with the yin and yang dao of the old man's life essence and blood, both of us will have the opportunity to go further. If the teacher recruits another venerable level to join, the three of us can form a trio. In this joint formation, we may have a chance to fight with a half-star, but now we are given half a month. The two junior brothers were frowning solemnly, and Billy, who was flying beside them and chasing after them, suddenly puffed up her cheeks, as if she was very angry. You don't trust Master, I'm going to tell him. Humph, he will do what Master says, but you don't believe him. Billy is a good boy, and he has unreserved belief in Jia Yan. It is precisely because of this belief that he regards Jia Yan's words as good advice, which leads to her excellent talent in yin and yang dao, so she couldn't tolerate others questioning Jia Yan. No, senior sister, we don't dare to question Master, we are just discussing the matter. You are right, we really shouldn't be like this. Since Master has given us this task, then we will do it well. Haha, senior sister, don't tell Master, we will do a good job. It is true that we are unfounded. Since Master has decided on this mission, how can there be no countermeasures? How come we two venerable level people are still here? We are thinking wildly and we shouldn't. The two of them quickly comforted Billy, fearing that her temper would explode, so they went to tell Jia Yan. Humph, just know you're wrong. Go to work quickly and do the tasks Master has given us. It's only half a month. With so many things going on, you still have time to chat. It's too busy and it's too late, okay. Billy has the air of a senior sister. Yes, we won't talk anymore, let's go get busy. The two junior brothers couldn't defeat the senior sister in front of them, so they quickly scattered in all directions. Yeah, both junior brothers are very obedient, so I won't repay the favor to master. Billy nodded with satisfaction, then jumped up and down with a smile, flying in the sky, doing her own thing. Of these three guys, little Billy is indeed the most obedient and trusts me unconditionally. Jia Yan sat in his mountain hut and had a complete view of the words and deeds of the three apprentices who left in the sky. Even if he doesn't want to listen to these people's conversations, it's actually not easy. After all, his true body is in the nearby subspace, and all the mid-level creatures in the galaxy automatically cover the surrounding areas without doing anything special. In an area of 1,000 kilometers, these movements did not need to be heard, they were just in his ears. In fact, it was exactly like this. He kept everything in his ears on this entire asteroid all the time. Okay, now that the task has been handed down, it depends on their execution ability and how hard these sect disciples work on the task and practice. Jia Yan knew that there were too many things to do in the time limit he gave. The focus was on the cultivation of the big guys and the learning of cooperative combat skills. All of these had to be solved within half a month. For the former Orion Arm warriors it's almost impossible. But after being in the galaxy's central star territory for so long, Jia Yan discovered that the fighting qualities of the creatures here are really not good. Even these farmers, their talents should be relatively poor in the galaxy's central star territory. Well, but unfortunately, they still have similar fighting qualities, at least after they have the opportunity. Their self-consciousness makes Jia Yan doubt whether they are actually warriors. However, this suspicion is impossible, because there are so many farmers, and a casual search will tell that most of them have been real farmers for several generations. This can only show the excellence of this place. Any farmer who goes to the outside star field, especially a backward star field like the Orion Arm, can be regarded as a great genius. This is the great thing about the central star field of the galaxy. Although geniuses from the outside come here from time to time and subvert the civilization and even ideas here, in general, those geniuses have also become the people here. Residents will create better genes and environments for the creatures born here in the future, causing the gap to become wider and wider. Jia Yan sighed. In fact, in the Milky Way, the Orion Arm is not a very bad place at all. Although it has been closed for many years, in fact, the areas on the edge of the Milky Way are much weaker. In many places, it is said that there is a venerable who is already a star. The Lord of the Domain. Of course Jia Yan has never been there, he just heard about it. If someone comes from that kind of place to the central star field of the Milky Way, it will definitely be an eye-opener. The venerable level is said to be the overlord of a party, but it is directly a weakling. It is estimated that the eyes of people who come here from that kind of place will be wide-eyed. Fortunately, I'm not weak. Jia Yan smiled slightly. Time flies, and another half a month has passed. Jia Yan has been in this starry sky for a month and a half. Outside farmers and those who maintain solar power, Jia Yan is quite satisfied with the progress. At least if it were placed in a place like the Orion Arm, ordinary people would not be able to achieve this kind of progress. As for the giant Mosquito's body in the subspace, because there is no energy to help repair it, the speed of repairing the injury is extremely slow. But he wasn't in any hurry, because he couldn't be anxious about something like this. Besides, things are about to turn around. That was the next planet, and Jia Yan saw an opportunity there. An asteroid like that won't be very disruptive to me, but it produces a certain amount of energy crystals. Such crystals require external machines to process, so for many power lords, it seems a bit useless, but to me, it is not the case. My body can directly absorb such crystals for its own use. If I can get that planet, I can stabilize my injuries by roughly using part of the crystal energy. Jia Yan did not intend to use up all the supplies on that asteroid, because the crystals of such an asteroid were not enough to fully recover from his injuries, so it was better to stay and use it as the starting capital of the Yin-Yang sect. After conquering this planet, I can try to recruit talents again. It is said that there are many cities and residents on that asteroid with a diameter of more than 1,000 kilometers, hundreds of thousands of people. I want a place like this. Recruiting heaven-level people is overwhelming, not to mention Earth-level people. Just find anyone who is Earth-level or above. There will also be many starry sky level, and there may be less venerable level. In short, if I reorganize there, the strength of Yin-Yang sect will be a big step forward. Whatever planets I want to attack in the future, it will be relatively easy for the Yin-Yang section. At least I won't have to put in any extra effort. Jia Yan secretly radiated the power of his brainwaves. Biha, Ryan, call out the people you teach and prepare for the expedition. At the same moment, Jia Yan's voice rang in the ears of the two disciples on the asteroid. On Billy's end, she was teaching the younger children. Jia Yan was not going to ask these children to fight. After all, they were all Earth-level and Heaven-level brats who might cause trouble for him. Billy, just stay at home and recuperate while Biha and the others go to war and wait for our good news. Ah, yes, on my OG master. Billy was teaching the children, and when she heard Jia Yan's voice, she couldn't help but look a little sad. Jia Yan ignored her and flew straight out of the mountain peak where he was. In the outside world, Biha and Ryan, who had been waiting for a long time, called the Yin-Yang sect disciples who were ready to fight, and all of them flew up from the ground to meet Jia Yan. This small agricultural asteroid is only a few hundred kilometers across. Regardless of whether you are a beginner or any other level, as long as you can fly from one end to the other very quickly. Master, we are here. Biha was the second senior brother and had a higher status than Ryan, so he spoke to Jia Yan first. Jia Yan in front of all the creatures still looks like a small creature, but everyone knows that he is not an old turtle, but a being with extremely terrifying strength of at least half a star level. Jia Yan calmly used his clone to look at the approaching creature. He nodded. I didn't want to take away the Suolin planet from them, but I heard a few days ago that the ruling forces of that planet used extremely cruel methods of rule against the people under their rule. Although Master couldn't talk about it in the past, he's a good person, but he can't take this matter seriously these days, so even though he knows it's hard to swallow, he still sets his sights on how to liberate the Suolin stars. Disciples of the Yin-Yang sect, please don't blame me for my actions. As I said before, as the old saying goes, if anyone wants to leave, he can leave our sect at any time if he swears not to teach the Yin-Yang sect techniques he has learned. Jia Yan said calmly to all the Yin-Yang sect members who were flying over. Ah! There are actually many creatures among them. Only now do we know what kind of opponent Jia Yan has chosen. After knowing that it was the Suolin star, each of them showed extremely shocked expressions. Among the farmers who are making a living locally, who doesn't know about Suolinxing? This is like a county town. When they buy or sell things, they all go to Suolin planet. Their impression of the place is that it is prosperous, and they also have an unshakable feeling. Unexpectedly, the leader of his own power would actually target that prosperous asteroid. Suddenly someone hesitated. Please remember the first domain name of this book. 4novel.com. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2048. There is a reason why Suolin star can be so prosperous. Speaking of asteroids with a diameter of 1,000 kilometers, there are several nearby, but none of them reach the level of Suolin star. This is because Suolin star has a backstage, which is a stellar ruler. Even if the star-level existence is blocked by the Yin-Yang sect master, what about the half-star level and the venerable level below? Hundreds of people rushed over, probably to their death. These farmers began to waver. What? No one wants to quit. Jia Yan asked calmly to this group of wavering farmers. You bastards, since the lord of the sect asked us to liberate the Suolin star, he has his own way. What are you afraid of? Biha was angry and yelled at this group of disciples who were already fearful. No one wants to quit. Please ask the sect master to take us together. After receiving Biha's response, they felt a little relieved. That's right, the lord of the clan is unfathomable, and it was also clear from the last battle that Jia Yan would not easily let these peasants waste their lives, so how could he let these disciples die for no reason? Jia Yan's layout on this asteroid is also seen by everyone. Although I dare not say that Jia Yan had a conspiracy from the beginning, at least he is right to spend a lot of energy on this asteroid, so is he bored when he casually collapses the sect's overall situation that he put all his efforts into? Now everyone became determined. Okay, since no one wants to leave, let's go. Jia Yan nodded and flew into the sky. High in the sky, the warships driven by Ryan and his friends were docked here. These warships were the vehicles of Jia Yan and his companions on this trip. Suolin planet is a relay planet on the main road extending in all directions. As a member of the asteroid, this relay star is like a post station. Merchant ships and spaceships of powerful forces come and go, often rest here. Although it cannot be compared with the commercial post station of the big planet, it can be compared with other small planets. Comparing the planets, it can be said to be a very lucrative career. And because it is an asteroid, it has immunity from nearby major forces, and there will be tax concessions or exemptions, so the income from such an asteroid is still very considerable. Of course, what's more important is that this asteroid also has an energy deposit. Even if you don't have the technology to refine it, you can mine it and sell it to other forces, and you will gain huge profits. As a result, this asteroid is much more developed than the surrounding asteroids, and its economy is very promising. But the problem is that on this asteroid, the life of the people can be said to be two different things. Those few people who have formal jobs or have shares in related enterprises live very well, even better than ordinary people on distant planets. Everyone should be nice. But the majority of ordinary people are having a very difficult time. This asteroid has even restricted the free travel of ordinary people. If the citizens of this country want to move away from this asteroid, they must hand over a large amount of funds, otherwise they will have to work yourself to death for the planet. How can ordinary people make so much money? So even if they stay on a good commercial asteroid, they still live in extremely dark days and barely survive. And all of this is also the reason why many of the hundreds of thousands of people within the entire asteroid are secretly planning to subvert the ruling power of the planet. How are you today? Those bastards from the Suolin forces, have you relaxed a little? No, it can't be done. There is another venerable creature in their arsenal. We have no chance at all. Asshole, venerable, we don't even have a venerable in our rebel army. If there is a venerable, we can definitely capture the weapons depot, so that we have the means to fight against the forces of Suolin. Even with weapons, I think it's difficult. You must know that Suolin's forces are not as simple as we see. The strongest person behind them is a star, let's not say star. Even against a star and a half, they will all be wiped out, so we have to take a long-term approach and get help from outside forces first. But outside forces can't help us so easily. I have tried to contact people from outside forces before, but no big shot from any force is willing to cooperate with us. Our strength is too weak. A group of creatures were having secret deliberations in the slums behind the bustling high-rise buildings of Suolin Star. There are 50 or 60 of them in total, and the strongest ones are only at the peak of the heaven level, and a few of them are scarred. Obviously they have suffered blows before. These strongest beings who are only at the heaven level are discussing how to face the violent rule of Suolin forces on Suolin planet. The force behind Suolin Star is the Suolin force. This force has been entangled here many generations ago, and Suolin star itself is indeed the Suolin force through orthodox means, from the surrounding major forces. It was taken over from there and slowly developed from an ordinary unmanned asteroid to a somewhat prosperous one now. Therefore, no one doubts the legitimacy of the Suolin forces, but the problem is that their method of ruling ordinary residents on this planet is really unflattering. But this universe is a universe for the strong. These residents who live an extremely miserable life do not receive any support from outside forces because they are too weak and have the ability to attack Suolin star or subvert Suolin star's forces. On such an asteroid, after all, the Suolin forces are considered orthodox. If they are defeated, the surrounding forces will be wary of the attacking forces. Then they will be disgraced and business activities will not be able to continue, which will be difficult to handle. We will win, we will win. The several injured people played a miserable role in this group of secretly active residents. Each of them muttered something, and then looked at each other without others paying attention, their eyes full of hesitation. One of them was about to press a certain instrument in his hand when he suddenly heard someone in the crowd shouting in surprise. "Haha, someone contacted me through the private network. He seems to be a very strong man. He said he is willing to help us, the ordinary people of Suolin star." What? Are there actually strong people from the outside willing to help us? Don't be fooled by random netizens on the internet. There are many such boring people on the internet. Yes, some people just like to make fun of miserable people like us, or they don't believe in our stories. Don't be fooled. Everyone present had a change in expression because of this person's surprise, but most people still didn't believe it. The injured person who was about to press something was startled, and then looked at the injured people around him. Seeing that the others shook their heads with solemn expressions, he quickly put down the instrument. These people were all looking at the speaker. Don't worry, this strong man doesn't seem to be lying. You see, he sent a strength identification, the peak of the starry sky level, which is much stronger than our strength. He also said that the strength identification was from the university many years ago. The city did it. His current strength is already at the venerable level, and there is a more powerful existence and force behind him. This force. It's called Yin-Yang sect. Have any of you heard of it? The person who shouted in surprise read out the information in the online letter, but when he mentioned the words Yin-Yang sect, he became a little suspicious. Because as far as the nearby forces he knew, there didn't seem to be a force called Yin-Yang sect. I haven't heard of it either. Who has? That's not right. At least as far as I can see, there is no such force nearby, or even if there is, it won't be a big force. If you want to deal with the Suolin forces, you must at least have a star-level force. Will the Yin-Yang section be not qualified? Hurry up and reply to the other party. Tell them about the current situation of Suolin star and the power behind it. It's good that the other party has such good intentions, but if they attack without even seeing the enemy clearly, they will suffer a blow. Everyone present looked disappointed. They could see that since the other party had even sent out their own strength certification certificate and real name, they must be somewhat sincere, because sending real data over this kind of thing would be very difficult unless they no longer want to hang out in this star field in the future. Otherwise, if the locked-up Linseeing executives know that the other party wants to help the anti-ruling organization, they will definitely not be able to take advantage of it. But being sincere is one thing, and whether you really have that kind of strength is another. The strength on the certification certificate is the peak of the starry sky. This strength is indeed strong enough, even much stronger than the strongest person in their resistance organization. And the other party also said that he broke through the starry sky level and reached the venerable level. This is even more incredible strength. At least now, the strongest person ruled by the Suolin forces on this planet is only half a star. It's just a level, the venerable level is only one big level away, which is considered a good level of strength. But it's just the venerable level. A venerable level existence is nothing at all on the Suolan planet where there are many powerful people, because there are at least dozens of venerable level people on this planet, even Banhan there are several stars. As for what was said in the letter, there were powerful words behind him. People with this power were dubious. Because there is a power stronger than the venerable level, that is, there is at least a half-star power. This kind of power will definitely not be a vain person in this starry sky, but there are so many people present. No one has heard of it. That makes them very suspicious. Does the sender of this letter really want to help, or has some other conspiracy, or is he just taking advantage of them? It's even people from Suolan's forces who are putting out bait for them to grab. After all, Suo Lingxing has done this kind of fishing and law enforcement countless times. This is also the reason why many organizations have been destroyed. And they had almost been wiped out once before, and those injured were injured precisely because of that battle. I don't know the details of the Yin-Yang sect, so I can't trust them too much. Yes, but don't say harsh words directly. No one knows whether the other person is telling the truth. If they really want to come and help, then we will break their hearts. A group of people in the organization want to contact each other, but are afraid of traps. It is very contradictory. The injured creatures looked on with cold eyes, and looked at each other from time to time, as if they also wanted to know the answer to this matter. Yes, these injured people had been captured by the Suolan forces during the last war and then bribed. They originally wanted to take advantage of this large internal gathering of the organization today to use some arresting and signaling equipment to arrest everyone present. But the unexpected letter made them give up this plan. There is a force that inexplicably wants to take action against Suolan Star. This is more important information than a weak organization. If more things about this force can be known and reported to them, spies like them may be even more affected by the senior officials of Suolan Star. With recognition, he might be able to break away from his status as an ordinary citizen and get a formal job in the future. That was a matter of the whole family's chickens and dogs ascending to heaven. So they didn't take action just now. He wrote back again, saying that whether we believe it or not, the master of the Yin-Yang sect has issued an order and is ready to come to rescue us and everyone else on Suolan Star. If you are willing to assist them, when they come to attack this star, it is our credit to cause unrest on the planet. Also let us contact other organizations. When the venerable being who claimed to be a member of the Yin-Yang sect came to Shiyuan to send another email, all the creatures here were a little confused as to what to do. They don't want to believe that there is actually a force that comes as soon as they say it. But if the other party has some conspiracy, and they directly attack the planet as soon as they appear, just to lure them to appear, the cost will be too high. They actually came to attack. Did the other party tell us the time? At this time, an injured member of the organization quickly asked about the most important information. Only then did the others react. Indeed, it was said to be an attack, but no time was given. Maybe they were asked to wait for 10 years, which would still be a wait. But after 10 years, we don't know whether they would still be alive. Wouldn't that be a joke? Same thing. Time. Didn't say it, and the other party said they would no longer reply to our messages. They just told us to be prepared. Didn't you say the time? Oh, I knew it was just like playing tricks on us. Haha, there are really a lot of people who talk big words like this on the internet, but they don't know that this kind of thing is not funny at all to our suffering existence. Are you kidding me? Ha ha ha. Okay, let's break up. But the other party asked us to inform other organizations. Let's give it a try. Anyway, let others know. If there is such a day in the future, we can at least contribute a little bit. A group of creatures were all dumbfounded, thinking that this matter might not be so easy to accomplish. As for the injured individuals, each one looked at the tissue creatures who were starting to leave with hesitant eyes. They all held the instruments in their hands, but did not send a signal for a long time. Please remember the first domain name of this book. 4novel.com. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2049. Forget it, just let's continue to observe whether they really have any other contact with the yin-yang section. When everyone was almost gone, among the injured creatures who were about to take action, a top-level person shook his head and gave a wry smile. Let's go. Don't think too much. Our family is in the hands of Suolin forces. It's impossible to resist them. You all understand? Understood. Then the yin-yang sect, let's just treat it as information about the atonement of the general's actions that he didn't do this time. I hope they won't anger me and my family because of this. Several injured people, all looked uncomfortable. They didn't really want to violate this organization, but because their families were imprisoned in the prison of Suolin Star, they had to act according to each other's words, otherwise their family's faith in their lives would definitely be in jeopardy. Soon, there were no more members of the organization gathered in this area. Haha, let me monitor this small organization, and I got some good information. A huge and astonishing momentum quietly retreated from this area. This was an aura that belonged to the power of a revered person. It was much stronger than the members of the organization who had just met here. None of them noticed the aura of this powerful man who was at the level of a revered person. And this venerable level being got his information as he wished. Is the yin-yang sect preparing to attack? The question is, what kind of sect is yin-yang sect? This information was quickly passed to the highest level of Suolin planet, and is now in the hands of the strongest person on this planet. Regarding the intrusion of external forces, even if it is just a piece of information, it is extremely important information for such a force. No one dares to despise it, so this information reaches the heaven directly, and reaches the half-star level powerhouse. In hand. Yin-yang sect, I have never heard of the name of this section. Is it a fake sect or a real sect? At least within the scope of our intelligence, there is no sect called yin-yang section. After the half-star got this information personally, he thought about the name yin-yang sect and checked it online. He found nothing, so he gave up on the matter. It is estimated that even if the sect exists, it will not have any impact on my Suolin force. Let alone Lord Suolin coming in person, even I, a little-known little force, can't defeat it. Failure. Moreover, the greater possibility is that this force is basically people on the internet, playing tricks on the fools of those organizations. After thinking about it for a while, he stopped thinking so much. As for that organization, it has actually been their thorn in the side for a long time. They just don't want to close the network now. Instead, they want to use this organization's network to find more members of other organizations, and then conduct a big purge. Yin-yang sect, forget it, don't report it, otherwise everything will have to go through Master Suolin's hands, and he will be tired. I can handle it myself. Several similar incidents happen every year, and most of them are just based on rumors. Therefore, this half-star level existence did not leave this matter to a more powerful master, that is, the idea of the leader of the Suolin forces, Suolin himself. Sir, our warships are too old. With all due respect, it is impossible for them to fight, especially in the battle against Suolin Star. They are useless at all. In the starry sky, a metal door was knocked. When the door was opened, an old creature holding a greasy maintenance tool was outside. This is the only farmer on the agricultural planet who is proficient in maintenance, and most of the things he repairs are farm tools. Now asking him to repair battleships and spaceships is really a bit difficult. But there was no other way. There weren't many people who knew how to do repairs. He was a quick learner, so he was still rushing to put it on the shelves. The powerful creature who opened the door was an old creature like a turtle. He was none other than Jia Yan. I have known about this for a long time. Don't worry, I have no intention of letting such warships go to the battlefield. They are just transportation tools. Jia Yan smiled slightly. No one knows the situation of warships better than him. The warships transporting farmers are like scrap metal. The force that repaired solar energy before, that is, when Ryan and others attacked the asteroid, planned to use it. These second-hand warships are just for transporting personnel. So if you really use them to fight, you are seeking death. You don't even know if you will blow up the battleship and blow it up. When it comes to maintenance technology, although Jia Yan is not a professional, he has witnessed several repairs of the Edessa and participated in them several times. Therefore, his ability to repair and understand machinery is really not much worse than the farmers in front of him. So he knew that it would be a fool's behavior to want to use these warships to participate in this battle. Well, it turns out that the sect leader knows that. The maintenance farmer was holding a sentence in his heart and didn't know whether he should say it or not. In fact, what he wanted to say, Jia Yan knew very well, that is, if we don't even use battleships in this battle, wouldn't we definitely lose? Otherwise, how can we fight? Let these dozens or hundreds of farmers jump onto a planet with a population of hundreds of thousands and charge like that? Maybe this kind of fighting method can't even defeat a residential area. As for the battleship, at least if you can't defeat it, you can still escape. Don't worry, since I asked you to wait and attack this seemingly disparate opponent, I won't stand idly by like last time. You will know why by then. Jia Yan shook his head. Oh. The original farmer who did the maintenance quickly resigned and left. The content of the chat about this matter spread throughout the entire small fleet in a short time, and the small team composed of 3 or 5 battleships and spaceships suddenly gained a lot of confidence. Originally, there were different opinions about Jia Yan's strength. But since Jia Yan dares to boast about Haikao, it can be seen that he himself is absolutely confident in this battle. Moreover, they have already made a banner to liberate the Suolin star that is oppressed by the Suolin forces. In terms of justice, this is relatively correct. Master, I have already established contact with an organization on the Suolin planet. Presumably, our Yin-Yang Sect's banner will spread throughout the Suolin planet in a short time. Well, it was done very well, but we must be careful that the organization is caught and the news is blocked. The initial purpose of our trip is to create some friendly public opinion effects for ourselves. Otherwise, after our Yin-Yang sect takes over the Suolin star, it is very difficult to comfort the people. Biha came to Jia Yan's room, or rather, he stood outside the room because he was too big. Well, Master, do you really know how to take action? No. No problem. After all, Suolin star's strength is still very terrifying. Biha saw that Jia Yan was clear-headed and had already begun to talk about what happened after ruling Suolin planet, so he asked hesitantly. What? You also doubt my strength, teacher? Haha, don't worry, I said it will happen, and it will definitely happen. Just believe it and watch when the time comes. Jia Yan shook his head, not wanting to continue explaining this issue. The battleship continues to fly in the universe. The speed of this battleship is too slow and it does not have a unique flight mode, so it will take more than 10 days to reach Suolin planet. Jia Yan feels that if he uses his true body to fly in space, he can get there in just 1 day. Such a distance, these warships actually have to take so long. It seems that the distance between the Farmer Star and the Suolin Star is a bit too far. Let's bring the Farmer Star over next time. Jia Yan is not at all worried about the battle on Suolin Star. Bringing so many people was just to deceive others and make it easier to do subsequent work. Otherwise, if he came alone, he would easily make such a small planet surrender. In this way, Jia Yan himself felt relatively at ease, but within the entire battleship group, people were in panic as they were about to reach their destination. On Suolin planet, a rumor that has been secretly circulating recently has become very popular, causing great disturbance to the people within the entire planet. That is, in the recent days, a force called the Yin-Yang sect will come to attack Suolin star. Many people do not take these rumors seriously. After all, in many cases, similar rumors are spun by some thoughtful people. But this kind of thing cannot be tolerated by countless poor people who regard them as faith. After all, life on this planet is too miserable. Countless poor people and exploited people secretly began to pray, praying that this force really existed and would be willing to come and rescue them, Suolin planet. But when the news spread, none of the powerful people at the top of the planet felt frightened. Similar situations will always happen again and again every once in a while, and they are used to it. These slaves actually want to pray for someone from the Yin-Yang sect to come to the Suolin planet. Haha, let alone whether this force exists or not, even if it exists, do they dare to come? And even if they do come, what strength do they have? Can it shake our Suolin force? It's just a joke. Our Suolin force has a star-level existence. He is a huge monster near this starry sky. Apart from the real big forces, what other force can pose a threat to us? There is a huge suspended satellite above Suolin planet. This satellite is where the real high-level officials of Suolin planet and some super-privileged people live. In the past few days, most of the senior officials have heard about the so-called Yin-Yang sect, and every one of them sneered at it, especially because some people are still spreading rumors that the Yin-Yang sect is approaching this planet. They want to laugh even more. If the Yin-Yang sect really exists and has the strength and courage to start a war, then the coming momentum will definitely not be bad. There must be at least a few fleets of hundreds of elite warships, right? But such a long time has passed, and no trace of the large fleet has been found by outside spy ships or the like. However, they did find a few spaceship fleets with several warships or merchant ships. Among them was a shabby fleet of warships, which seemed to be menacing, but they would not regard this shabby fleet as an attacking enemy at all. If such a small ragtag fleet had to be vigilant, then their planet, where trade caravans flowed in endlessly, would be frightened every day. Therefore, what the Yin-Yang sect is approaching is simply impossible. Only a situation that everyone had never expected occurred. The people who were controlled by the Suolin forces regarded it as a harmless fleet of broken battleships. When they were about to approach the Suolin planet one day, they suddenly received a signal and revealed their identities. Listen, Suolin Scene, we are the fleet of the Yin-Yang section following the orders of the sect master. We are here to rescue the people of Suolin Scene who have been oppressed by Suolin forces for a long time. If Suolin Scene has self-awareness, Kaixing will surrender. Buzz. With this channel voice that was completely disclosed and shouted towards all the channels in Suolin Star, everyone in Suolin Star, whether ordinary people or senior executives, was shocked. How can it be? Everyone thought that the shabby ship that could not be the Yin-Yang sect was actually the so-called Yin-Yang sect? And what is even more ridiculous is that with such a few shabby fleets, which are not even comparable to those of Chain Lin Star, they actually dare to openly clamor for their surrender. Here, for those who say they have no self-awareness. It should be some kind of fleet like this. There are only so few ships. Is this a joke? This is simply unreasonable. It turns out this is the Yin-Yang section. Fortunately, we have been worried for a long time, but there are only a few warships picked up from the garbage dump. It really makes us speechless. Sir, please let me go out to fight. Let's make sure that one cricket kills them all. No, no, let me do it. Such a good opportunity to claim credit is rare in 10,000 years. If we beat them, it will definitely be a good credit for Lord Suolin. He may be focused on training in the future. On the Suolin Star, the reaction was relatively fast. Everyone was rushing to fight. The venerable level is about to start a fight, while the semi-star level is looking at you and me, but they are all showing no interest. After all, they are a half-star, with the same strength as the half-star who is managing the planet at this time, and they are all extremely powerful high-level officials. If they still fight against such a farce, it will be a joke. So the best case scenario is to let the venerable level fight. This yin-yang sect doesn't take Suo-Linxing seriously, and actually uses such a battleship to fight. Or are they actually just such a gangster force? No wonder I can't find any information about them. Come on. You fight for me. The half-star level being who serves as the general manager on Suolin planet called for a venerable level person to come out. Yes, I will definitely live up to your trust. The honorable person who was named was just randomly named, but for him, this was the best luck, and he almost jumped up with excitement and joy. The other venerable beings were extremely jealous, as if they had gotten some big advantage from this venerable being. Please remember the first domain name of this book. 4novel.com. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2050. Not long after, an extremely impressive fleet of 100 battleships shot up from a fleet dock somewhere on Suolin planet. At this moment, the group of tattered battleships slowly arrived outside Suolin planet. This group of warships that took off also faced off with this group of dilapidated warships. On the one hand, there are less than 10 warships transporting food and merchant ships, and on the other hand, there are hundreds of warships that are fully armed, almost like the elite troops of regular large forces. The difference in combat effectiveness between the two sides can be said to be clear at a glance. Obviously, the hundreds of warships facing the enemy also thought so, especially the venerable level creature who accepted this mission. He was so happy that he flew up because although he was not facing a powerful enemy in this mission, the credit is real. No matter what, he just faced the invading enemy. This is a great achievement. If given the chance, he can move up a level in his job level, receive more benefits, practice faster, and his family will become a true leader on this planet. Noble family. Hey. Are you that yin-yang sect? You actually dare to come and cause trouble to me, Suo-Linxing, and want to invade. Let's see if I, Suo-Linxing Bai Wang, agree. That venerable level creature showed no fear at all, and did not hide in the battleship. It just flew in front of hundreds of battleships, across the starry sky, as if looking down on everything and arrogantly looking at the 10 approaching enemy ships. Military. He is already delusional that his appearance will be recorded on the TV station and then shown to the entire Suolin planet, and even all Suolin forces planets and high-ranking officials, so that he will become famous. It is true that this venerable level creature is indeed extremely heroic, because he is a long creature that looks like a dragon, with a snake body, claws, and a beard on the dragon's head. If the dragon is the Xia people, or any earthling who comes to watch, will understand that this existence is definitely an animal very similar to the Huaquilang, and they may regard it as a religious animal. Oh! Jia Yan, who was far away in the yin-yang sect on the opposite side, was slightly startled. Master, what's wrong with you? Is the opponent too strong? Biha was on one side, startled by Jia Yan's attitude. Although the coming venerable level creature is indeed very powerful, for him, a primary level venerable level creature, he can already clearly see the opponent's strength. He is almost a high-level venerable being. If he is even like this, if Jia Yan's existence makes Jia Yan slightly troubled, then this battle will be a mess. There are at least a dozen or 20 enemies with similar or more powerful abilities than this. No, the venerable is just a high-level one. It's just the figure of the other party that surprised me. As for how to deal with him, Jia Yan shook his head and understood his disciple's thoughts. He no longer showed the slightest expression of surprise, because his words and deeds at this time, and even any small expression, would cause everyone in the yin-yang sect to be confused. A change in mentality. Therefore, he will not show too many expressions, even if he is a little surprised because of the other person's appearance. This will make his subordinates and disciples think that he is afraid. Jia Yan's eyes jumped past Biha and placed them on Ryan, who was behind Biha. This Ryan was already an intermediate-level venerable creature when he invaded the peasant asteroid. Now his strength is still an intermediate-level venerable creature, but he has transformed into yin and yang in more than half a month. Intermediate level of Taoist venerable. It's just that Ryan is still a little confused about his own strength. After all, he was too late to transform. He didn't have time to practice his strength too much, and he never played against Biha. So he must still think that he is still no match for Biha, right? Ryan's expression was also solemn as he looked at the approaching Suolin star warships. He has always believed that any existence above the middle level of the venerable must be dealt with by his master. After all, their brainwave power is not as strong as the opponent's, and their actual combat experience is even worse. He is just a small power master who leads an industry. I have never experienced a serious battle at all, and it is incomparable to the battles that break out all year round on Suolin Star, so the battle experience is much lower. He also thought that Jia Yan would take action himself, but he never expected that teacher Yin Yang would actually put his eyes on him. Ryan, you haven't tried it since you succeeded in transforming your strength, right? I'll leave it to you to deal with this lower level creature of the venerable. Do you have the confidence? Ah! Ryan was startled, and then a chill rose in his heart. He was a little scared, and even at this moment, a bad thought came to his mind, that is, teacher Yin Yang was using the hands of the enemy to eliminate himself, the dissident who had attacked Peasant Star. But this thought passed away in a flash. After all, what kind of strength is Jia Yan and what kind of strength is he? Faced with the absolutely crushing gap in strength, there is no need for any conspiracy to deal with him, just deal with him directly. Master, I'm fine, I'm going to fight right now. Ryan originally wanted to say something cowardly, but he turned around and saw senior sister Billy, who was extremely kind to him and had a very encouraging look from Biha. He somehow managed to agree. Very good, then go ahead. Don't lose the face of our yin-yang section. Even if you lose, don't worry about your life. I will take action on my own. Jia Yan gave him the last insurance. After hearing this, Ryan immediately felt relieved. Because he had experienced Jia Yan's strength before, he knew very well how strong this master was. Anyway, it must be more than enough to save him from the hands of a noble-level creature. So he nodded directly and shouted loudly to his fellow disciples on the surrounding battleships, Ryan goes to fight. Yes, before this guy goes into battle, he needs to make his presence felt. But Jia Yan didn't laugh at him. After all, at this moment, in the yin-yang sect, apart from Jia Yan himself, the most powerful creature was Ryan. As for Biha, after leveling up in Onmyato strength, Ryan, who has been immersed in the venerable level for a long time, is definitely stronger than Biha, and not even a little bit. Click. When the shadow of a creature flew out from inside the tattered battleship group, there was a slight commotion on the Suolin Star battleship. Does anyone really dare to come and fight? Shouldn't one of the opponent's battleships turn on the broadcast at this time, saying it's a misunderstanding or something? The comparison of strength between the two sides cannot be seen clearly. The ruler of the other side must be too stupid. In other words, is this opponent's entire force filled with fools? Well, here is a mid-level venerable creature, which is not too weak. But here is a mid-level venerable creature, and he wants to fight with me, a high-level venerable creature? The other party is too disrespectful to me, a high-level venerable creature, is it in your eyes? This dragon-like creature had an extremely ugly face. A rage of anger appeared on his giant monster head that resembled a dragon's head, and the color of his entire head changed. Hey! Who is that person coming from the other side? Did you come out to fight with me? Exactly, I am the third disciple of the inner sect of the yin-yang section, please give me your instructions. Ryan flew out, his expression solemn, and he spoke calmly to the dragon-like creature in front of him. Disciple? And there are only 3 disciples? Could it be that there are 2 disciples in these battleships who are stronger than this creature? Don't they also have masters? The expression of the dragon-headed creature changed again, and the dragon's head changed color again. Your Excellency, if you have any moves, just use them, or you can prepare to let the warships do it together. But correspondingly, the strength of the warships and strong men behind us will also be used. Ryan had already received a message from Jia Yan and knew how to speak to him. Haha, what are you talking about? You actually said that if we take action here, you will also take action. Could it be that we just rely on a few junk ships? To put it bluntly, the number of warships retired by our fleet every once in a while is more than what you have in your hands. The battleships are much better. Maybe your battleships are just junk after we don't know how many times. You actually want to fight our fleet before you realize this. But don't worry, we don't want to use the fleet. You first fight with us. Let me fight. If you can survive under my hands, then we will consider using a battleship to show you country folk what a truly advanced battleship looks like. The dragon-headed creature smiled slightly and regarded Ryan and other yin-yang sect beings as a group of country people. Having said all that, isn't it just a fight? Well, Your Excellency, let's fight. When Ryan saw that the other party was actually having a long conversation with him, his nervousness suddenly calmed down a lot and he flew towards the enemy. After receiving Jia Yan's promise of protection, he became bold. Even if the enemy rushing forward was surrounded by a group of warships, he was not afraid. How dare you take the initiative to attack? A mid-level venerable takes the initiative to attack a high-level venerable? Haha, you are simply looking for death. When the other party saw that Ryan was so bold, he instantly became furious, his face changed color again, and he rushed forward like crazy. Bang! There was no sound in the starry sky, but their first collision actually caused ripples in the space, and sound appeared. Huh! The dragon-headed creature found that his claws were not what he imagined. He slapped Ryan away with one claw. On the contrary, he couldn't bear the strength of the opponent's punch and flew back a little distance. His expression suddenly changed. An expert would know right away as soon as he made a move. 100-sentence verbal exchange between Ryan and him would not be as convincing as this confrontation. This middle-level venerable being is actually a creature that may be able to leap to the next level and fight. What kind of strength is there? It actually feels like an explosion, which makes me almost unbearable. The expression of the dragon-headed creature changed drastically. But when Ryan fought with the opponent, he felt extremely ecstatic in his heart. Because he didn't expect much from the attack just now. He just wanted to use a roundabout way to bypass the opponent's main attack claws and use his 2 extra claws to attack the weapon after the attack was missed. To attack this chameleon. But he never expected that his blow would have such an unbearable impact on the opponent, not only cancelling out his attack but also making him fall back. This had to be said to be a surprise. Are the positive and negative forces of our yin and yang dao so terrifying? Come again. After he was ecstatic, he suddenly understood that he was able to fight with creatures 1 level higher than himself. He relied on nothing else, nor because the enemy was not strong enough. He relied on the recently modified yin and yang dao. The positive and negative power has spread all over his body. Even if he doesn't take the initiative to use it, there will be an explosive power guiding it. In the offensive and defensive blow just now, he did not deliberately use the power of yin and yang dao. He was able to equalize with the opponent's attack, or even win a small victory. If he used all his strength. The brilliance in Ryan's eyes became extremely explosive. Buzz. Another probing blow caused a huge shock to the entire starry subspace, causing every surrounding battleship to stagger. The venerable high-level creature enveloped by the attack was even more frightened and backed away. But there was a hint of shock on his dragon head, because he found that the blow came fast enough that he couldn't dodge it at all. Help! The dragon-headed creature screamed wildly. Groan. At this moment, no one could react to the fact that a late-level venerable creature could not defeat a mid-level venerable creature, and was beaten to the point of shouting for help within 2 hits. But there are exceptions, that is, inside 100 battleships, one of the largest battleships emitted an earth-shattering force, and he reacted. This is a creature hidden inside the largest battleship. His strength is fully half-star level. In the current Suolan planet, he is one of the strongest half-star level people. It can be said that his strength is monstrous. This half-star creature had previously felt that the seemingly extremely weak yin-yang sect was a bit weird, so he hid all his aura and hid inside the battleship. If the battle went well, he would not take action. Yes, but if the battle doesn't go well, he will take action. Unexpectedly, his worries came true. In this battle, the enemy's self-proclaimed third disciple actually won against a higher-level person on his side. And with just 2 moves, he beat the high-ranking venerable on his side, shouting for help. This yin-yang sect is definitely not an ordinary person. Stop. He suddenly used his brainwave power, and half-star level is half-star level. The strength of brainwave power, both in total amount and speed, is more terrifying than the combat power between the venerables. Much, much more. A huge arm transformed from the power of his brain waves, he grabbed it directly and rushed towards Ryan on the battlefield. Puff. On the way, he also hit Ryan's brainwave power to death. The explosion of positive and negative power only shocked the opponent's brainwave power, but did not have the slightest impact. It's so scary. Please remember the first domain name of this book. 4novel.com. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2051. It's so scary. Although the blow dispersed Ryan's brainwave power, the half-star was still shocked. After all, he was a half-star and wanted to attack an intermediate venerable. Logically speaking, it was easy to catch him, but the brainwave power he just collided with Ryan actually shocked him. This was something that frightened him extremely. This will make it even more difficult to tolerate you. The other party's face turned sinister, and he instantly used the more terrifying brainwave power to grab Ryan's head. Ah, Master, Master. Ryan was quite happy at first, because he was able to defeat a high-level creature from Suolan planet in just 2 moves. This was a serious step-up battle, and even a complete victory. For a man who used to be just the leader of a small force and was said countless times that he had no fighting talent, this was simply the most glorious time in his life. But he didn't expect that the other party was so mean. There was actually a mysterious strong man hiding inside the battleship, and he attacked him when he was about to win. Feeling the opponent's strength, Ryan instantly understood that he would definitely not be his opponent. This difference in strength has reached a shocking level. The other party must be a star and a half. My master is probably a half-star, the most powerful star-level existence, and I don't know if he will be able to save himself in time. Snort. Just when Ryan began to feel distrustful of his master, a cold snort spread throughout the world. This voice is extremely familiar to Ryan and other members of the yin-yang sect. It's just that compared to the relatively plain and kind voice that the owner of the voice exuded in the past, the voice he made today actually contains an extremely amazing momentum, and has a faint murderous intention. In the entire universe and starry sky, gradually dispersed. This murderous intention and momentum are not simply felt, but actually have practical effects. When this sound reached Ryan at an extremely fast speed, the attacking brainwave power of the half-star existence also came to Ryan from inside the battleship. But when this voice arrived, it almost took the opponent's brainwave power away. Puff. It was so neat and quick that even Ryan didn't feel carefully how terrifying the brainwave power of a half-star level being was. The brainwave power of a half-star level strongman was affected by this voice. It was directly messed up. Ha ha ha. Throughout the starry sky, there is the aftertaste of the brainwave power released by the semi-star level existence. Who? Suddenly, the semi-star level beings in the battleship screamed out in alarm. He really didn't feel any strong presence inside the Yin-Yang sect's battleship just now. He is a half-star powerhouse, and a mid to high-level half-star powerhouse. For him, the Yin-Yang sect is approaching in a menacing manner, but his strength is completely within his control. The most terrifying creature in the Yin-Yang sect is Ryan, who is fighting. There is no one stronger. That's why he took action when the venerable level creature on his side was about to lose. He stopped hiding his identity and instantly wanted to kill Ryan and end this farce. Yes, to him, the Yin-Yang sect, which had been preparing carefully before, now looked like a farce. The enemy's force value is simply not worth a cent. So he took action, no longer hiding his strength, and directly destroyed the opponent so that he could go home and practice. But what he never expected was that among the Yin-Yang sect battleships that he thought he had figured out, there was actually one that he had not detected at all. A voice actually shook away the power of his brainwaves. Who is it? Could it be a semi-star level existence whose talent is to hide his body? This half-star powerhouse just didn't want to think that the other party was a creature with a higher level than himself. Ryan. When he was thinking about this matter, the other party didn't seem to pay attention to him, a high-level executive of Suolin Star. He just spoke lightly and spoke to Ryan, who was still ecstatic after the disaster. Yes, Master. Ryan nodded quickly in response and showed even more respect. You must know that he really doubted Jia Yan's strength before, but now he no longer doubts it. Jia Yan's strength is definitely as powerful as he imagined, and he may even be a star-level powerhouse. Otherwise, how could dare to take action against the Suolin sect who has a star-level powerhouse? There is someone on that battleship who dares to interfere with the duel between strong men. This is not allowed by heaven. I will go over and kill him for my master. A calm voice, just relaxed and freehand, said the above words. Ah! Ryan was shocked. He was dumbfounded in his heart. Listening to his tone, Jia Yan wanted to kill a half-star powerhouse by himself? Doesn't this mean he is going to die? Why would Master say such things? Ryan was startled and hesitated again. Are you going or not? The old voice was filled with indescribable power in the starry sky. I'll go. Ryan gritted his teeth. Feeling that Master Yin Yang would definitely not harm him, he nodded immediately and calmly walked towards the highest battleship in the area where hundreds of enemy battleships were located. Inside the largest battleship, there was a half-star being who had just emitted brainwave power at him, trying to kill him. But when Ryan flew towards the battleship, his whole body was trembling, and he was obviously in a state of extreme fright. He was afraid that the surrounding battleships would take action, and even more afraid that the half-star would take the lead and kill him. Your Excellency, you are the so-called master of the Yin-Yang sect, right? Do you want to let your disciples die? The half-star powerhouse was so angry that he wanted to vomit blood. He instantly released the power of his brainwaves and used his brainwaves to attack the battleship where Jia Yan was. Puff. But this time, his depressed brainwaves dissipated instantly. What kind of strength is it? I always feel that it is similar to me. Why did it blow away my brainwave power in an instant? The feeling of this semi-star powerhouse was not wrong. Don't forget, Jia Yan's yin and yang clone is just a clone, and the actual brainwave power concentration only reaches the strength of a half-star powerhouse. If we really want to talk about it, his brainwave power strength may still be not as strong as the half-star existence in front of me. So for the other party, this made him very confused. With an instant perception, he felt that Jia Yan, the clone on the battleship, was not very strong, but why was he downplayed by the other party when he was hit with brainwave power of destroyed? This is how terrifying the clone of a strong man is. No matter what, Jia Yan is a creature that has reached the middle level of the galaxy. Compared with a star level and a half, or even an ordinary star level creature, his strength is much higher. It is like a godlike existence. Even if the clone's strength does not seem to be strong, and even the real brainwave power intensity is only half a star level, the combat power of this clone can often defeat a strong star level. This is the reason why this half-star is struggling but cannot see through Jia Yan. Huh? Master is actually not afraid of him at all and completely occupies the vanguard. As Ryan moved forward, he observed the battle between the two strong players. Seeing Jia Yan's overwhelming performance, his confidence immediately increased greatly. As he walked, the warships around him, as well as the high-level dragon-like creature that was defeated by Ryan, wanted to get close to him and stop him. You must know that Ryan is walking among a group of biologically powerful enemies, and each one of them is surrounding him and eyeing him. How much courage and trust it takes to obey Jia Yan's words and put himself at the mercy of others, regardless of his life or death. As an intermediate-level creature of the Supreme Being, he could not understand the outcome of the battle between two beings who were at least half-star level. He only knew that his master must have had the upper hand. But the problem is that he didn't see whether his master won a lot. If he was really much stronger than the opponent, wouldn't he have to kill the half-star as soon as he made contact? Why did he fight for a long time without killing the opponent? Do you want to kill it yourself? It's almost like asking yourself to do an impossible task. But now, he has no choice but to believe the words of his Onmyoji master, otherwise he may not be a human being inside and out. Buzz. Suffer death. How dare you come here alone? I don't know whether country people like you are brave or ignorant. There are so many warships here, how dare you come to such a dragon's pond and tiger's den? Are you really looking for death? The dragon-like venerable mid-level creature who had fought with Ryan had an extremely sinister expression, and he used a big move to kill the enemy in one move. Friend, I didn't want to kill you in a joint battle, but since you want to attack our front, you won't tolerate my mercy. He said it lightly. If the semi-star had not taken action just now, he would have died in Ryan's hands, and now he is pretending to be righteous. Boom. With an earth-shattering sound, the tail of this venerable level creature swept directly towards him. Ryan saw this guy's attack and his eyes became sharp. But at the same time, the warships surrounding him surrounded him and wanted to emit light to kill him. He didn't know what to do. If a person is alone, he will definitely die without a burial place. Ryan, just fight this dragon-like creature and don't worry about the rest. Suddenly, there was another exciting voice beside him. This is the voice from Onmyoji Master, and it is also the voice of his biggest reliance now. Hearing this voice, the worry in Ryan's heart turned into smoke. Although he didn't know who was stronger or weaker between Teacher Yin Yang and the half-star class, let alone what method Jia Yan would use to help him win so many battleships, he understood that he had to trust his master. This master is a mysterious and astonishingly powerful being. If he doesn't trust his master, why should he join the Yin-Yang sect? Haha, you are defeated, but you still dare to speak out? Let me defeat you. Ryan laughed, used his two fists and two claws to shine at the huge dragon tail that was coming, and swept it away. Bang! Above the sky, an extremely dazzling light shone, and along with this light, there was an earth-shaking scream. The dragon-like monster stumbled backwards and flew out, only to see patches of flesh and blood on his dragon tail. Roar! The chameleon monster finally understood that he really couldn't defeat the intermediate-level venerable being in front of him, and his failure just now was not a fluke. Hurry up and fire for me. He shouted at the warships surrounding him. Are the commanders of these warships all fools? They all agreed to besiege the sky, but now that there is no one-on-one duel, they still don't open fire. Well. But then, his eyes became stunned. Because in his sight, each of the surrounding warships was actually motionless, as if they had lost their personnel and were just floating above the stars. How, what's wrong with you? This dragon-like creature had a bad thought in his heart. He quickly ignored Ryan, who continued to fly towards the central battleship inside the battleship group, and approached the group of motionless battleships. There are about 30 warships in this batch, and they are all filled with his close subordinates. He has known each one of them for a long time. So the relationship was pretty good, but he didn't want to see all his subordinates die. Then the battle would be won, but in the future he would be left with the bare commander. In this Ulan Star Force, even if he is a lower-level creature of the Venerable, without subordinates and supporters, he will be easily kicked out of the center of power. Sir, we are fine. Just now, there seemed to be some huge force flowing through the battleship just now, which made our bodies unable to move, and there was also something wrong with the battleship's engine. What? When the dragon-like creature approached the stationary battleship of his subordinates, a response from his subordinates came from inside the battleship, making him freeze in place. You know, a battleship is a battleship. Even if the battleships here are not the best in the entire star field, one thing everyone knows is that battleships are afraid of external interference and influence from strong people, and are on guard against powerful brain waves. Strength and other aspects have been strengthened countless times. But according to this subordinate, their battleship was interfered with by a strong man. Then the question arises, how strong is this strong man? At least creatures like dragons know that half-star level seems to be unable to do this. Stellar level? Is this yin and yang? Suddenly, he turned around and looked at the core battleship of the yin-yang sect that had been emitting brainwave power but not killing. The so-called yin and yang is inside that battleship. What is his strength? A faint worry began to fill the mind of this dragon-like creature. Please remember the first domain name of this book. Reborn as an Interstellar Giant Mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2052. Hey, no, if the opponent is so strong, why doesn't he kill the people in the battleship? And he doesn't even do any damage. Is there some reason, or maybe he can't kill? Instantly, he thought of this again. In fact, this dragon-like creature never thought that the other party was not unable to kill them, but rather unwilling to kill them. Venerable level existences, as well as heaven level existences, are a very important basic level for the forces in the central star field of the Milky Way. If too many are killed, then Jia Yan will still be short of power even if he captures this asteroid. There are so many gaps. Will it be possible to rule with just a small population on the peasant planet? Totally impossible. Therefore, Jia Yan will let the weaker sages and weaker enemies go. But for the half-star level, forget it. This kind of existence is enough to affect the rule of the yin-yang section. After all, no one can control the half-star level except himself. Even if you want to accept it, you must find someone who understands the situation and is willing to serve the yin-yang sect. At least the one who took action just now was meant to scare the monkeys. Puff. Master, I'm here. Suddenly, Jia Yan saw Ryan, protected by his own strength, arriving at the center of the siege surrounded by hundreds of enemy warships. He nodded. Ryan, you go kill him. But, Master, I. Ryan's hands and feet were shaking. You want him to kill a half-star like this? It's just a joke. Master is so far away. Does he really have such strength to deal with a half-star? He was afraid that if he really broke into someone else's battleship, and the other party came over with brainwave power, and his master failed to block it, what would he do? Jia Yan didn't say anything, he was letting Ryan think about it. Courage is something you have to train yourself. In fact, Jia Yan doesn't blame the other party. After all, if he compares his feelings with others, he has a master who doesn't know what his strength is, and then asks him to kill him in front of a domain lord. On the other side, he must have performed worse than Ryan. Maybe it was because Jia Yan had performed very reliably in front of Ryan or all the disciples of the Yin-Yang sect, or maybe Ryan thought that Jia Yan was strong enough to deal with a star and a half, so Ryan chose to take the risk. We have already walked to the battleship. If we still dare not take the risk, wouldn't it mean that all the previous expressions of trust in the master will be lost? The third disciple of the Yin-Yang sect, Ryan, is here. Your Excellency Suolin, who is half a star, do you choose to commit suicide, or do you want this disciple to kill you personally? Suddenly, Ryan aimed at the inside of the battleship and roared directly. He risked his life and his voice was deafening. Huh? Tell me to die. Inside the battleship, the half-star was stunned for a moment as he dealt with the brainwave power that Jia Yan had been releasing continuously. After all, a creature of the middle level of the Venerable actually dares to ask a strong man of the middle level of half a star or above to die. This is like a dream. Not only him, but also a strong man from Suolin's star around him, as well as the soldiers on the battleship, and everyone in the Yin-Yang sect, everyone was startled. No one heard the previous conversation between Ryan and Jia Yan. They only knew that Jia Yan was protecting Ryan and walking towards the enemy's battleship group. There are even some low-level experts who still don't know that there is a half-star level creature inside the opponent's battleship helping the enemy's noble creature to fight. But now, they all know. After all, Ryan called out the words half-star level. The entire battlefield was silent for a moment, as if you could hear a pin drop. But then, the whole place buzzed. What? There is a half-star powerhouse on the other side's battleship. You are stupid. If it hadn't been for that half-star level powerhouse just now, the opponent's venerable level creature would have died at the hands of our brother Ryan Sanji. I haven't seen it yet. It looks like you really need to practice hard on your strength. Is the semi-star level gentleman inside our battleship one of the adults on our planet? He has been taking action. I don't even know. But the other party's so-called third disciple actually walked into our fleet and asked the Lord to come out and die. This is simply looking down on us. Humph, the opponent's strength seems to be only a venerable level. The hidden master suppressed it for such a long time without killing anyone. He is probably only a half-star level existence at most. He actually dares to let his disciples come out to kill a star and a half. Just watch, his disciple is going to die. Third senior brother Ryan, you are truly a hero of ours. He's so audacious. On the entire battlefield, countless combatants from both sides all noticed this scene, and even the exchange of bombardments between the warships stopped. This, you are so bold. The enemy's dragon-like venerable mid-level creature was in bad shape. The existence that he was having a fierce fight with just now, although his strength was good, was so arrogant that he went to trouble a semi-star level existence. This was simply asking for death. He has great courage, but there is something wrong with his brain. The enemy is half a star. I'll give you 5 seconds to think about it. Should you kill yourself or should I, the third disciple, do it myself? At this moment, Ryan was no longer hesitant, he was completely crazy. Now that he had made a decision, he naturally didn't want any regrets. Die, then die, at least die on the premise of believing in Master. Don't people only pursue 1 or 2 adventures and passion in this life? Having been a coward all my life and the leader of a small force, how can I have the excitement and joy of being a venerable person and making a half-star suffer to death? Junior, you are so brave. If you want me to die, let's see if you have the ability. Boom. In an instant, the semi-star level being in the battleship suddenly surged with an endless sense of power, breaking free from Jia Yan's brainwave power that had been restraining him, and then a brainwave power, not towards him. Jia Yan counterattacked, but instead aimed at Ryan outside the battleship, transformed into a monster's fist, and grabbed him in one fell swoop. He gave up the chance to force the enemy Yin Yang back with one blow, and also wanted to kill the boy at the door of the battleship in one fell swoop. Otherwise, one's own morale will be lost. It's coming, we can't stop it. At this moment, Ryan felt that his whole body was suffocated. A half-star mid-level creature launched a full-force attack on him. To a venerable mid-level creature, it was like the power of God. Even the positive and negative forces of Yin and Yang Dao cannot make up for such a gap. Just die. Ryan gritted his teeth and remained motionless. He just straightened out his chest, a pair of fists and a pair of claws, completely unmoved and not even thinking of blocking. Because blocking is useless. He chose to trust his teacher completely. Buzz buzz. The terrifying power came directly in front of Ryan and was about to kill him in one fell swoop. Click. Suddenly, a slight noise rang out at the moment Ryan closed his eyes and waited for death. How can you, a disciple of half a star level, kill my disciple? Ryan, let's do it. The old and indifferent voice filled the whole world. At this moment, the strength of Yin Yang, which was still competing with this semi-star level existence, suddenly increased many times. This strength is so terrifying. In an instant, it crushed the opponent's half-star brainwave power. The entire battlefield, including this half-star being, was controlled by the brainwave power in an instant. In it, unable to move. It felt like death was right in front of him, but it was blocked by the master's terrifying power in one fell swoop, and it was blocked in an understatement. Ryan was about to cry. So excited. He knew that he really made the right bet and followed the right master. The strength of this master was really far beyond half-star level. An absolute stellar existence. Ha 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 ha, Your Excellency, the half-star level, because you did not obey the orders of Ryan, the third disciple of the Yin-Yang sect, to commit suicide, so now, I will punish you with my own hands. Ryan's eyes were red, which was completely overexcited. He flew up and down, his body not too big but over 100 meters tall, flying towards the opponent's battleship. The height of the enemy's warship, especially the flagship, was several times his height alone, but when he flew up, everyone actually felt that he was as huge as the opponent's warship. Even though this was just an intermediate-level venerable being, Ryan's strength at this time was simply infinitely magnified, as if he were a star and a half. This. Inside the battleship, a half-star master who had never appeared was completely stunned. He wanted to use force, but his body seemed to be locked and he couldn't move at all. Me! He roared and unleashed all his strength. But at this moment, he felt that the power that restrained him had strengthened several times in an instant. Even if he exploded with all his strength, the restraint remained motionless and he was still unable to move. Now, he understood that the opponent's strength was not as simple as he had shown when he confronted him before. He had been teasing him before. But now, this being imprisoned him and then asked his disciples to kill him. He would rather die in the hands of a stronger person than die in the hands of a weaker being than himself. And he didn't feel that he had to die here. No, this, Lord Yin Yang, and Lord Ryan, I surrender. I have an employment relationship with the Suolan forces. Please let me surrender. I am willing to join the Yin Yang sect, too, sir, please allow me to surrender. Bang. Ryan walked to the front of the battleship. The surface of the battleship was not something he could damage, but he actually made a big hole in it in an instant. It's obviously Jia Yan's method. Ryan didn't think too much. He just nodded respectfully to the Yin Yang sect's battleship and then jumped into the battleship. I surrender, I really surrender. The semi-star level being was startled when he saw that Ryan had actually entered the battleship, and he quickly shouted again. Ryan ignored him completely. Because now, he is no longer hesitant like before. As long as the master doesn't speak, he won't care no matter how much the other party begs. What's more, he can see that the master doesn't seem to think much of a half-star. As expected, he is a star-level powerhouse, and even half-stars will never look down upon him. Fortunately, when he attacked the peasant star last time, the master didn't want to kill himself or others. Ryan entered the battleship while pretending to be serious as he walked. Inside the battleship, there are many staff members, many of whom are fully armed soldiers. But when Ryan entered, they could only watch helplessly as the enemy walked into the battleship, and no one could move. Everyone was suppressed by that shocking strength, and no one could move. Ryan walked inside this battleship, which was at least 10 kilometers in size. There was a huge space. When he stood in it, he felt that this battleship was really a good battleship. The movement speed of mid-level creatures of the Venerable is not slow even if it is not deliberately accelerated. Not long after, he reached the largest space in the central area of the battleship. Huh? Your Excellency, we finally meet. Didn't you say before that you would kill me if I could? So I'm here now. Since you don't commit suicide, I, the third disciple of the Yin-Yang sect, will do it myself. He saw a huge creature that couldn't move. What can I say about this creature? Logically speaking, it is also very powerful and looks quite intimidating. But this creature, which was several hundred meters huge, was suppressed by an invisible force and could not move at all. This made him feel no threat at all. This, Disciple Ryan, I surrender, I really surrender. No, I will always be a dog of your section. I hope your sect can give you a way to survive. The extremely ferocious face of this creature showed a begging attitude. Ah! Ryan smiled and shook his head, and then his claws shone with a trace of light. Late. Saying that, Ryan walked up to the half-star creature, and under the other's extremely horrified gaze, he stabbed his claws into its head. Ah! Bastard, bastard! This half-star creature wanted to yell something. But soon, the sound stopped suddenly. Huh? I'm so intolerant, oh, Master should be helping me. Ryan originally thought that he might not be able to penetrate it, which would be embarrassing. But after he actually started to attack, he felt that the opponent's head was like it was made of cotton, and it was pierced into it in an instant, and the brain was completely messed up. Buzz. The dissipation of the power of the semi-star level death made Ryan almost lose his balance. Fortunately, he had already expected it and used his strength to stabilize himself, and then he stood firm in the battleship. Haha, dead. He smiled, his expression already crazy. A venerable level being actually killed a half-star level being. To him, this creature, which was as high as a god, was actually so easy to kill. He, ha 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 ha. Please remember the first domain name of this book. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2053. Listen, if you wait until the half-star commander is dead and don't surrender, this is what will happen. Suddenly, Ryan became bold and roared at the warships outside. In fact, there was no need for him to roar. In the entire starry sky, everyone had their own guesses and surprises because of the disappearance of the energy of this semi-star level existence. When Ryan roared, these battleships and powerful men of all levels, whether it was Suolin Star or those from the Yin-Yang sect, were all frustrated by this. Then, they finally understood the roar. The meaning of words. The half-star powerhouse is really dead. Ah! He's dead, my lord is dead. Half-star level, killed by a venerable level creature. It wasn't that guy who killed him, but there was an extremely powerful man in their yin-yang section. How could we possibly defeat such a strong man? Surrender. We surrendered and fought against a strong man who was suspected to be more than half a star level. We are not so stupid. For a time, the commanders and crew members of Suolin Star's fleet, which had no time to display the advanced strength of the warships, all surrendered. The dragon-like monster flying outside the core battleship, who originally wanted to catch up, assist the semi-star commander and kill Ryan, was completely stunned at this time. He didn't know what to do, because he was the one who was fighting fiercely with the opponent just now. If he surrendered, he felt that the opponent would look down on him. If he didn't surrender, he would die. He hesitated and hesitated. "Your Excellency, are you still stubborn?" Suddenly, a figure walked out in front of him, and the figure shouted coldly at him. Well. This dragon-like creature suddenly looked serious. Because this figure was the one who had just entered the core battleship and killed the strongest person on his side of the battleship, that is, the semi-star level being, Ryan, the third disciple of the yin-yang sect. Ryan killed a half-star. Although he was not killed by his own strength, it still gave him a change in his demeanor. His whole person seemed to have been reborn, with an incomparable aura. At this time, he walked out of the core battleship and stared at the hesitant dragon-like creature from a high place. It only made people feel that he had a sense of majesty as a superior. The dragon-like creature was just worried that if he surrendered, the so-called third disciple of the yin-yang sect in front of him would take revenge on him. When the two sides fought, he would show no mercy. "Sir, don't worry, I won't hold any grudge against you, not to mention the battle just now, but I have been suppressing you." Just such a sentence made the dragon-like creature give up its struggle. Anyway, the opponent is also strong. If he doesn't surrender, he will definitely die. I surrender. I hope that the third disciple and everyone in the yin-yang sect can spare our lives. Ha ha ha, very good. The yin-yang sect welcomes everyone to join. I believe you will not regret today's decision in the future. Ryan was extremely happy. Although he didn't understand Jia Yan's strength, he knew very well that his master wanted to expand the power of the yin-yang sect. Otherwise, why didn't you use your strength to crush and kill all the enemy forces here? Ryan knew very well that with a master who could easily immobilize a half-star level and kill him, it would be easy to kill all the creatures present. Moreover, from the previous battles of Teacher Yin Yang, even he accepted the intruders who invaded the peasant planet and became the third disciple. This can be seen that Teacher Yin Yang actually wants people in his heart. So after he asked this dragon-like creature to surrender, he immediately became excited. After all, if the master wanted to get it, they, as disciples, would also get the credit. Besides, although the credit this time essentially belongs to Jia Yan, Ryan must also have a lot of credit, at least he is brave. Master, fortunately you have fulfilled your destiny. Ryan took the dragon-like creature and flew back to the yin-yang sect. Very good. Let those who surrender come over and stand behind our battleships to build momentum. As for those who don't surrender, we won't force them. The master will personally take action to free them. Jia Yan's voice didn't contain any warmth. Yes. Even Ryan felt a little chilled and quickly responded. This was the first time that these disciples knew that their sect master had such a cold attitude. In fact, when you think about it, it becomes very clear. How could a strong man who reached half a star level or above be as amiable as the yin-yang they knew before? Because this kind of existence, in the universe, it's hard to survive. You don't have to fight next, so don't be embarrassed. When the dragon-like creature, with hundreds of battleships that all of them naturally surrendered, flew behind the tattered battleships of the yin-yang sect, an old voice came from inside the main command battleship of the yin-yang sect, which still had a little bit of appearance. The sound of yes. The dragon-like creature quickly bowed his head in response. His faucet changed color again, completely the blue color of fear. Haha, let's go, continue to advance to Suolin planet, and at the same time make an announcement saying that our yin-yang sect is ready to take over Suolin planet. We hope that all the resistance organizations within the planet will come forward to welcome us. Ryan became Jia Yan's real right-hand man at this time. Even in such matters, seeing that Jia Yan was unwilling to take action, he had the courage to take over. What Jia Yan needs is such a courageous and knowledgeable disciple who dares to take on important responsibilities. Because he doesn't have much international time to do so many operations. Now that Ryan has trained himself, he can enjoy the results. Seeing that Ryan had arranged everything in an orderly manner, Biha, the second disciple, also helped out. As for Billy, the Syria senior sister, because she was too young and had no experience at all, she seemed to be, like a child, he kept staring with his big eyes, unable to help at all. Jia Yan could only shake his head slightly. The identity of several disciples was a temporary decision for Jia Yan at the time, but now it seems that it put too much pressure on Billy. It's just that this female disciple is actually very talented. She is the kind of talent that is very suitable for learning my yin-yang sex cultivation method. Don't underestimate her in the future. I believe she will one day make a difference. Jia Yan believes that this female disciple will be successful one day. As for whether this female disciple will bear too much pressure before that day comes, it only depends on the actual situation. Buzz buzz. The entire battleship team became a bloated circle and continued to advance toward Suolin star. At this moment, Suolin planet, the richest and most prosperous planet in the surrounding starry sky, was in chaos. Because the results of the battle in the starry sky reached this planet. All the people have received a signal and are broadcasting it here. There are even more organizations secretly amplifying the signal so that everyone on Suolin planet can receive the signal. The people from the yin-yang sect in the signal talked about the evil deeds of Suolin star's current ruling class. They also talked about how good the yin-yang sect would be to the people of Suolin star after taking over Suolin star, and how they would win over Suolin star. Star becomes a more developed and advanced city, and the people of Suolin star will enjoy the benefits of Suolin star's progress, etc. These words caused a commotion throughout Suolin planet. Of course, all the problems came from the first 100 elite warships of Suolin planet. They didn't even react at all in the first battle and lost directly. The loss was inexplicable. It seemed that not a single warship was damaged, but everyone surrendered. Asshole. That guy must have colluded with the yin-yang sect a long time ago, otherwise with his strength, how could he be killed at once? Isn't the opponent a star? Yes, the news came back from the intelligence that he had been killed by a venerable. How could we believe such nonsense? He must have colluded with the other party and wanted to drive us out and then exchange for himself. Even after replacing us, what excuse can we use to make Master Suolin admit that he alone rules this planet? That's right. I think this guy is thinking about this kind of thing, death. How could he die like this? We didn't feel the fluctuation. He is a star and a half, and he is still a high-level one. How could he die so easily? On Suolin star, half-star level beings, as well as high-level and peak existences of the Venerable, all gathered together to express their opinions on the battle above Suolin star. On a larger scale, they are discussing how to deal with this powerful enemy. No matter what, the first thing we have to do is send a distress signal to Mr. Suolin. If Mr. Suolin comes to mediate the document, then the guy above will definitely not dare to fight even if he still wants to fight. Yes, let's do this first. We can just go out and delay time. We just don't know what the opponent's strength is. I think they must have some background if they dare to move. At least the 2.5 stars we are present, and the 9 high-level sages cannot pose any threat to them. But we have to delay time, otherwise what else can we do? The storm on Suolin star did not affect the advancing battleship group at all. A large number of brand new warships followed the Yin-Yang sect's large number of shabby warships, which made the only a dozen warships and shabby agricultural merchant ships in front look so shabby. But this shabby fleet of ships seemed to be leading a powerful victor, luring the advanced and powerful warships behind them to move forward, and no one dared to escape. This is the scary thing about a strong man. The intelligence they came from said that our Yin-Yang sect actually colluded with the half-star who died earlier, and was just a tool to overthrow the current rulers. These people are really smart. They think too much. Also, they said that the half-star did not die, but joined us. The reason is that he was a half-star. Even if he died, he would definitely have a stronger fighting force. As a result, he died. Quietly, without even a bit of momentum. Ha 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 ha, these guys don't even know the strength of our Yin-Yang sect master. However, the strength of the Yin-Yang sect is beyond what a person from the Suolin force can imagine. Even we ourselves were shocked when we saw the Yin-Yang sect's actions before. Yes, I only understand now why the sect master dared to attack Suolin Star. It turns out that he is extremely powerful himself. In the advancing battleship group, the disciples of the Yin-Yang sect, who were originally farmers, were all extremely passionate, especially when they saw the relatively less shabby central command ship in this shabby battleship group. The craze comes. They know that in this war, the Yin-Yang sect will be the final winner and write an epic and magnificent battle. Of course, this is based on the knowledge and experience of their farmers. For a strong man, this is just a journey to bully the weak. Jia Yan didn't pay much attention to it and was still resting in the command ship very calmly. After the battleship is launched, we will go to Suolin planet next. If the battleship shakes after launching, you will have a good look. The disciples of the sect outside were all extremely busy. This was just a small warship of 200 to 300 meters in size. The sounds of voices and nervous running of personnel would be heard in the retreat room. Haha, I never thought that when I reached the galaxy level, I would lead such a fleet in battle. Jia Yan shook his head slightly. With his strength and status, he would have been able to easily travel with a fleet with good combat effectiveness, but the situation was different at this time. He led a large number of farmers and original solar repairers with little military literacy and combat experience. Forces team travels. The whole scene was chaotic, but it had a bit of fireworks. Liveliness is good sometimes, but if this team is to be used by ourselves in the future, then this won't work. But that's all for later. When Suolin Star is obtained, it's hard to say whether the low-strength beings around them can stay in the core fighting team. Why are they being asked to do so much now? A smile appeared on the extremely old face of Jia Yan's clone and he closed his eyes again. In this battle for Suolin Star, his main focus is still on the internet. That's right, even if his clone closed his eyes, his true form of the giant mosquito in the dimensional space around the fleet was still awake. And she has been asking Edisha to check and monitor articles on the internet. The reason is simple. He is just looking at the scope and extent of the impact after his attack on Suolin Star. After all, Jia Yan is not very familiar with this star field. He rashly fights a force, even if it is just the force of the strongest star-level powerhouse, but he has no idea whether this force will affect the whole body. If the impact is too great, extensive, and finally provoked a galaxy-level force, which would be a bit troublesome for Jia Yan at least at the moment. Please remember the first domain name of this book. Reborn as an Interstellar Giant Mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2054. So he didn't care about the war in front of him at all, but had been observing the interstellar network. If there was something wrong with the direction of the wind, he might really give up the idea of attacking Suolingsing. After all, what he wanted was long-term benefits, not just a small Suolingsing. Fortunately, the trend on the internet, at least on the big planets, showed no reaction at all to the battle on Suolin Star in a remote place here. Even if there is a reaction, It is just some people, big forces, and the like, who have no idea about such a small planet. That's right, the prosperity of Suolin planet is only for this small planet. In the eyes of the big forces, it's like the interests of a small city on their planet. Jia Yan's giant mosquito body, after observing some information, stopped paying more attention. The real body has things that the real body wants to do, and the tricks that the clone is doing are not enough for him now to make the real body have to be dispatched. It's not that his giant mosquito body has nothing to do without the power of the external dragon, but on the contrary, his giant mosquito true body has been repairing his body. Only when the body reaches a certain level that can accommodate external repair substances will it be possible to accelerate the body's repair speed when a large amount of external energy is supplied in the future. In other words, laying the foundation. He believed that even if he only used his clone, he could quickly obtain enough supplies to repair his body. Buzz buzz. Jia Yan's clone calmed down his spirit lightly, and then slowly stood up. Reporting to the sect leader, Suolin Star has once again arrived with 1,800 warships. This is all of the Lin Star warships. I know. Outside the door of the retreating warship room, a voice from a disciple of the sect came, and Jia Yan nodded lightly. He looked calm and composed, and a slight trace of brainwave power spread around his body. In the distance, there is a group of approaching warships, which are overwhelming and much larger than the Yin-Yang sect fleet here, flying over. Further away, there is a dark planet. This planet can be considered prosperous, with lights shining everywhere. There are even large solar panels covering the surface of the planet, making the entire planet into something with extremely high technological content. Look like. This is all the result of the hard work of Suolin Star's technology industry, but it has nothing to do with the current rulers. It is just a creation of some private companies begging for a living. At this time, there were bursts of smoke on the Suolin Star. I don't know how many secret organizations, or groups, and individuals, mobilized their fighting power at this time, targeting the Lin Lock force that currently rules the planet, and then caused a lot of chaos. Maybe until this moment, the people in Suolin's forces will not know how unpopular their rule in Suolin Star is. But now it's too late to know, and even if they knew it earlier, they wouldn't be very kind to the people. Why, these warships don't care about their main star, but they come here to fight with our Yin-Yang sect. Jia Yan was a little stunned, but after thinking about it, he understood that after all, their foreign force was the enemy's most dangerous opponent. They could not deal with the Yin-Yang sect, and it was useless for them to stabilize Suo Lingxing. Well, if I had known earlier, I wouldn't have needed any strategies to disturb the enemy. Now maybe if we regain Suolin planet, it will be a huge loss for Suolin Star. Jia Yan was a little depressed, because he came up with that strategy himself, but he never expected that he would be involved in it. If Suo Lingxing is obtained and the mining business cannot be carried out properly, then he will be shooting himself in the foot. Don't think too much. Anyway, the situation is already like this. Let me think about it and see if there is a way to get rid of the 1,800 warships as soon as possible. Jia Yan was extremely helpless. 1,800 battleships, this is not a small number. If it were his real body, a dignified galaxy class, then it would be okay, but if it is a clone, his strength is as strong as the pinnacle of stars. If he wants to deal with the 1,800 galactic central starfield battleships are a bit difficult to handle. It happens that every battleship in the central starfield of the Milky Way is very advanced. Even the battleships of this small force are extremely advanced. If I go out to fight separately, the battleships driven by the disciples of the Yin-Yang sect will inevitably be damaged. Then for me, it is not conducive to future human rule, because in the initial stage of taking over Suolin planet, I still need these farmers and people who maintain the solar power to help me stabilize the turbulent planet. Jia Yan was in a dilemma here. He wanted to deal with 1,800 warships, but also wanted to protect his subordinates. Otherwise, why did he bring so many people here? Isn't it just to stabilize the situation on the planet without causing too much damage before the battle against Suolin Star? In this case, he needs to bring some that he can use. Those who are worthy will come down. The surrendered enemy troops that have just been received on the battlefield cannot be used immediately. It is possible that some individuals who are unwilling to fail may also cause sabotage and hinder their progress. Could it be that you want me to use my true body? Let's see how strong this group of enemy troops is. Jia Yan was about to do a thorough study of the enemy's strength, but when he carefully released his strength to investigate, he was slightly startled. Because among the more than 1,800 approaching warships, approximately 800 began to sail away from the enemy's warship group. Moreover, the remaining 1,000 battleships seemed to have no idea that there was such a drama beforehand, and they felt a little chaotic in an instant. Fortunately, these 1,000 warships stabilized their position and slowly approached the Yin-Yang sect fleet. But Jia Yan didn't look at it for long, and then he found out strangely that among the 1,000 warships that were not too advanced, there were almost 500 more that were ready to move. Then these 500 ships also quickly left the other 500 of warships moving forward. In the end, only 500 enemy warships arrived in front of Jia Yan and the others. The previous huge formation of 1,800 ships now only has 500 ships left. And if you look closely, these 500 ships are actually much inferior in technological strength compared to the 1,300 ships that left. What exactly is going on? In the Yin-Yang sect here, Biha, Ryan and others are completely confused. However, since the enemy took the initiative to leave, they were happy and relaxed. After all, the momentum of the arrival of 1,800 warships also made them slightly stressed. After switching to 500 ships, the pressure in their hearts was much less, because 500 ships, this data is only 3 or 4 times stronger than the current Yin-Yang sect's more than 100 warships. Sir, Lord, do you want them to open fire? Suddenly, a disciple dressed as a farmer boldly asked Jia Yan this question. Jia Yan shook his head, then nodded. He originally thought about not causing too many casualties, but then he thought about it, these Yin-Yang sect disciples did not have many opportunities for actual combat. If they were not allowed to participate in the battle, they might not have any actual combat ability in the future. Besides, if they have to rely on themselves for everything, will they be too reliant? This was not a good sign, so Jia Yan agreed to the idea. The lord of the sect said that the artillery fire is about to begin, so hurry up and prepare. The farmer-like creature turned around and spread the news below. This guy has some ability as a sounding board, and he is also very courageous. Let him be a junior adjutant in the future. Jia Yan looked at the farmer who was sending the message, smiled and nodded. Such a farmer can't be said to be talented, at most he is courageous. But for Jia Yan now, he is a rare and useful manpower. If he is thrown into the hands of 3 apprentices, he can probably be released. Quite a few effects. Of course, Jia Yan wouldn't care too much and wasn't even interested in knowing his name. There are quite a few people with similar abilities in this fleet. After Jia Yan's idea of fighting came out, many farmers in the fleet passed the information bit by bit to various branches. In every small team in the fleet, the shabby fleet cannot ask for how fast their reaction speed is. It is enough to ask them not to die in the enemy's battleship gunfire in an instant. Compared with the dozen or 20 peasant ships, the 100 Suolin Star warships that had already taken refuge reacted much faster. They were the last department to get the news, but their response was faster than that of the Yin-Yang sect. Whoa! This group of warships was not a formation that wanted to start a battle, but retreated in the blink of an eye. Because Jia Yan had told them before that this group of battleships were from the Suolin planet. It was hard to say whether any of them still thought about the Suolin forces in their hearts. Rather than letting such warships participate in the battle, it would be better to let them step aside. Just watch the game, at least it will take care of their mood. So after they got the order, they retreated very quickly. This yin-yang sect's fleet is really bad. The problem is that they are poor and there are experts behind them. That is, a strong man who is likely to be a star-level existence. For such a combat level, he is simply the ultimate weapon. A group of biological subordinates gathered around the dragon-like creature. The dragon-like creature let out a long sigh. Actually, the departure of the 1,800 warships just now was caused by me. I revealed to them the information that there was a suspected star-level existence here. Presumably this information can be regarded as the best of both worlds for the yin-yang section. Well, after all, although a star class is powerful, more than 1,000 battleships like this will be troublesome for a star class. It's not that they can hurt a star class, but this star class. The star general cannot protect his subordinates. Under such circumstances, if I tell him the information he has here, more than 1,000 battleships have become 500 today. It should be easy for the yin-yang sect to solve it. This dragon-like creature was actually the culprit responsible for the downsizing of 1,800 warships to 500 warships just now. And it seems that the 500 warships were not notified, because they felt as if they were flying over, as if they were menacing, and they didn't understand that there was a star-level person here. The fight started. Haha, the people of the yin-yang sect are really interesting. They actually dared to use a dozen shabby warships to fight against 500 advanced warships, and they actually opened fire. TCH, I would dare if it were me. With such a powerful sect leader here, I would dare to rush into the enemy army and kill them all, even if I don't use anything. That's right, having a star class guarding you is like having a death-free gold medal. It's completely cheating, otherwise 100 of our warships will destroy this yin-yang sect fleet. Keep your voice down, we will also be members of the yin-yang sect in the future, and I see, there is only one master of the yin-yang sect who is a star, and his disciples don't seem to be experts. We will join the sect in the future. It is very likely that he will get a much higher status than his status in the Suolin forces. That's true. Not to mention the masters of the yin-yang sect, even the battleships are so shabby. It must be in the early stages of development. If we join forces, we may reach a high position. Are you just discovering it now? I have discovered it a long time ago, so I am really tempted to join the yin-yang sect and work hard. In the future, with Suolin Star, the yin-yang sect will definitely be able to develop and grow. This is not necessarily true. Suolin Star is the lifeblood of Suolin's power. In the future, Lord Suolin, no, whether this guy Suolin will come to see Suolin Star is really uncertain. Lord Suolin's strength, he is a mid-level star, and we don't know if the master of the yin-yang sect can deal with him, so we'll just have to wait and see what happens. Those who seek refuge will not come back to their hearts all at once. Each of them has a wandering heart. Only that dragon-like creature is silently watching the movements of the yin-yang sect. He is the strongest master of Suolin Star Uehara in the field, and his thinking is not too bad. After all, he can win the first one to fight, but when the war is unfavorable, he still surrenders simply. He must be, his brain is not too bad, he has already made a plan. Each of these guys are talking nonsense, but what they say is not unreasonable. It's just that compared to them, I, who has fought with the so-called third disciple of the yin-yang sect, know that the yin-yang sect's skills, it seems very strange. If I am not mistaken, this yin-yang sect's technique will be something subversive, so the existence that created this technique cannot be just a star. Thinking of this, the eyes of this dragon-like monster shone even brighter. Yin-yang sect, right? Although I don't know how you made the 100 battleships of our advanced team surrender, but we are different from the trash on those 100 fleets. We must surrender quickly, otherwise you will be in trouble today. When the enemy troops arrived in front of the dozen or so dilapidated ships of the yin-yang sect, the words of a half-star powerhouse came from inside one of the 500 uniform warships. Please remember the first domain name of this book.